Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Marvel. I am Black Widow Godfather and my strength was exposed by the Scarlet Witch. Chapter 41. The Black Queen's mutant ability is mainly to absorb the life force of others and make herself immortal. Kei Chen looked at the Black Queen in front of him and began to guess her intentions. She is like a soul vampire, and her abilities are still a little strange. I saw the Black Queen stand up from the sofa. She was not tall, but she was about 1.7 meters, and the black leather pants on her legs were connected to black high-heeled boots, and she squeezed directly to Kei Chen's side. And she directly put her head on Kei Chen's neck. Kei Chen also thought that she was a vampire, and just wanted to raise his hand to refuse her. He felt that she was just smelling her body. The Black Queen held him with one hand, sniffing at him all the way down. It's just that Kei Chen thinks wrong every time. She is not a vampire, she does not suck blood, and she does not do anything else. The Black Queen just sat very enchantingly on the table in front of her, her legs on either side of him. Sure enough, you've seen Jean Grey. You want to find Jean too. Kei Chen immediately understood when he heard her words. She can't control the power in her, so why not hand it over? The Black Queen Celine said with a smile on her face. She is very ambitious, once wanted to become the god of the earth, and has been deifying herself to have divinity. Therefore, in the face of the powerful phoenix power, she could not resist the temptation. Piff is not guilty, he is guilty. In the eyes of many people, Jean is like a child holding gold, and everyone wants to rob her of her phoenix power. Unfortunately, that power is not something you can control. Kei Chen shook his head and said. His appearance made Celine, who considered himself a god, feel uncomfortable. Chin is the real Phoenix host, no matter who else is, even if she briefly obtains the power of the Phoenix, she can't compare with her. How do you know if you don't try? The Black Queen came up to him and said, the whole person stuck up in a strange posture, like a snake. Why should I help you? Kei Chen clasped his hands and asked interestingly. If you help me get this power, we can rule the world together. Her hand hooked Kei Chen's chin. However, Kei Chen directly rejected her. It's a pity, I'm not interested in you, and I might be a little interested if it's the White Queen. Kei Chen opened his mouth and mocked. He felt that the White Queen was more cute than the old woman in front of him. The main thing is that she is still ambitious and bent on using herself, which makes Kei Chen very unhappy. Only after believing her words is there a ghost. Celine wanted to strike at him, but immediately held back. Because the moment her telepathy touched Kei Chen, she was suppressed to death. Obviously, in terms of psychic ability, Kei Chen directly crushed her. The White Queen you like may have died a long time ago. Black Queen Celine retorted abruptly. She also knew that she couldn't convince Kei Chen. Apparently, her plan to become a god was postponed again. She retracted her legs, and the whole person was half lying on her red sofa again. This gloomy basement became more and more cold. Oh. Kei Chen didn't care when he heard this. It turned out that the White Queen was no longer in the Hellfire Club, no wonder he didn't see her. As for where she went, Kei Chen didn't care. He wasn't really interested either, but wanted to suppress Celine. The appearance of the Black Queen is indeed very conquest, but seeing her poisonous black lips, Kei Chen was no longer interested. He didn't say much and chose to leave directly. The Black Queen Celine looked at his back, squinted her eyes or gave up. There was a very dangerous aura on Kei Chen's body, which made her resist the idea of wanting to do it. After living for so long, her hunch was accurate, and she helped her avoid the catastrophe several times. She took a sip of the blood-like red wine on the table, instantly dyeing her black lips bright red. How do I conquer him? Even Celine, who has lived for thousands of years, understands one truth. Women conquer men conquer the world. If she wanted to become a god, she might have to do it differently. Kei Chen returned to the party, and celebrities from all walks of life gathered together to talk. And there are also many private rooms where familiar people gather and people who don't know each other enjoy quiet gatherings and drink small drinks. There was no one Kei Chen knew here, and he was still wearing a bad mask. So he didn't leave directly, but relaxed here. Although he has already talked to the Black Queen, the adult world is full of interests, which does not mean that he is an enemy if he talks about collapse. As long as the Black Queen didn't choose to turn her face, things weren't so bad. Why are you here? At this moment, a soft mud-like body squeezed next to him, directly holding his arm and saying intimately. Kei Chen turned his head, and it was Erika who was wearing a red evening dress. She still likes red and black so much. Even though she was wearing a feather mask, Kei Chen recognized her at a glance. I haven't seen it for a long time, and Kei Chen's heart is also a little hot. Yudao is a little Betsu who is newly married, and seeing you every once in a while is more fresh than seeing you every day. There is no doubt that men are guys who like freshness. And Erika also wears a half-covered mask, which gives people a sense of charm. Kei Chen suddenly grabbed her waist and said, "Someone invited me to this party, but it was not interesting." "Yes, it's all old guys here." Erika looked at Kei Chen with silky eyes. She also missed Kei Chen. But she has to be busy with her own business, and she can't stick to him every day like Lorna. Therefore, at a party like the Hellfire Club, she naturally would not refuse. In fact, for business people, invitations to the Hellfire Club are generally not declined. The benefits of joining such clubs are too great and allow them to have more wealth. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer. This is the social ecology of the United States. Let's go. Kei Chen pulled Erika outside. But then, Erika answered a call. What? Erika was suddenly a little angry. What's wrong? Seeing her hang up the phone, Kei Chen asked puzzled. A fool came to my company to make trouble and let her run away. Erika spoke. Oh, what people? Kei Chen asked curiously, holding her and continuing outside. Like me, I am also a ninja and have had intersections before. Erika hummed. What's her name? Kei Chen asked with obvious interest. Her name is Ling D, and she doesn't know who to do things with now, and she has been disrupting my business. Erika was obviously a little angry, and looked at Kei Chen, who listened with relish, and said, "Do you want her or me?" "Of course it's you." Kei Chen carried her into the car and drove away directly. After Yelena came to the United States, she used various methods to avoid the pursuit of others, anyone. This is the cultivation of a secret agent. No matter when and where, she will not feel safe, and she will feel like a man's back at any time. So she kept going back and forth between the East Coast and the West Coast. Sometimes it departs during the day, sometimes it sets sail late at night. She even changed various vehicles so that the top agents could not track her. Yelena even carefully turned off her communication signal. And just like that, she finally returned to Ohio. She wasn't really in Ohio for long, but it was undoubtedly her happiest. The family lives carefree here, of course, only for her. Even Natasha has sorrows. Her godfather was also here and watched over their growth. This also made Yelena come to her godfather the first time she came to the United States. Even Natasha wasn't as persistent as she was. Because Yelena always remembered the godfather who called her little princess. Over the years, the streets have changed a little, but they are still exactly the same as she remembers. Yelena quickly came to the outside of her former home. At this time, the house had already changed owners, and she felt slightly melancholy, and her face tightened together. As if uncontrolled, she came to the outside of her godfather's courtyard. The attentive Yelena suddenly found traces of residents inside. Passers-by did not recognize her, because there had already been a group of residents, and Grandma Lucy next door had already returned to heaven. It is rumored that this grumpy grandmother from Texas still did not use her double-barreled shotgun after all. Just as Yelena looked inside the room, the door suddenly opened. A beautiful woman came out of it with a child. She still looked young, but she could vaguely see her crow's feet. He looks about 30 years old. Yelena thought for a moment. She was about the same age as her godfather. Even if it was worse, it would not be too much. Could it be that this was her godfather's wife? I don't know why, Yelena felt a little lost in her heart. Because she has been closer to her godfather since she was a child. Alexei, the titular father, did not give her much fatherly love. This made Yelena deeply attached to her godfather. Hello. Aaron noticed her and immediately asked. Hey. Yelena came back to her senses and just said hello awkwardly, but she didn't know what to say. She is like a lady who has just come out of the girl, and she is a little overwhelmed. It was Aaron who relieved the embarrassment. She could see that Yelena in front of her was a little girl. Although Americans are precocious and look like they are in their 20s and their teens, they can still tell the difference. Do we know you? Aaron smiled and asked. or who are you looking for? Yelena took a deep breath and regained her composure as an agent. I'm looking for the godfather. Godfather. Erin was a little confused when she heard this. She let go of her child's hand, and more than 2 years later, the child has learned to walk and does not need her to hold it. Yelena only thought that this was the godfather's child, and immediately smiled. Yes, she is very beautiful. Quote. This little girl is indeed beautiful. It's not like the godfather. The godfather is an Oriental. Could it be? Yelena looked at Erin in front of her and guessed. Is your godfather's name Maka? Or the former owner of this house? Erin looked at Yelena and said. Yelena reacted when she heard this name, and immediately felt a little blushing for her conjecture. Maka, my godfather's name is Ketchen. Yelena spoke, not sure whether to be happy or disappointed. Maka is my husband, we bought it a few years ago and loved it. Erin said with a smile, finally figuring it out. She was still wondering where her husband had come out of the goddaughter. Therefore, she sighed sincerely. It seems that this godfather named Kei Chen is indeed charming, and there was also a girl who came 2 years ago. She is older than you, and she must also be his goddaughter. Erin became a little curious about the former owner she had never met. 2 girls came to him in a few years, which was really charming. When Yelena heard this, she immediately squeezed a little smile out of her face. 2 years ago, she was sure it was Natasha. Since the godfather is no longer here, then I will leave. Yelena spoke. Erin suddenly didn't know what to think about. Don't you come in and sit? See if anything changes. If you can, it's good to tell the story of your godfather. Yelena turned her head and looked at Erin and smiled. No, I still have something. Also, your daughter is beautiful. After that, Yelena left without looking back. She didn't know what this woman named Erin wanted to do, but she must have been curious about her godfather. Yelena certainly knew how attractive her godfather was. When she was a child, her mother Melina would often sneak over. Yelena didn't know why Melina did this, and she was curious about it for a while. Later, she gradually understood what Melina was doing in the past, and therefore knew more about how attractive the godfather was. Because in addition to Melina, at the beginning, there were many girls who often came to the godfather but then gradually stopped interacting. It seems that Natasha will secretly scold them. This also made Yelena gradually understand that their family did not have any feelings, at least Alexei and them did not seem to be a family. But even so, Yelena still has some hatred for Natasha. If it weren't for Natasha's betrayal, she wouldn't have had such a hard time becoming a Black Widow and wouldn't be trusted. If it weren't for Natasha's betrayal, Melina wouldn't have been imprisoned, and now she is gone, not even a final farewell. Therefore, hearing Draikov's task, Yelena agreed without hesitation. Maybe she wouldn't want to kill Natasha, but a lesson must be learned. At this time, Drykov had also learned about Yelena's traces. From the traces of his journey, Drykov locked Ohio. A wad of information was placed in front of him. He immediately looked around, and with his past experience, he quickly saw what he had neglected before. Kei Chen, Oriental, Natasha and Yelena's godfather. He didn't really care about this before, just an ordinary person. But now it seems that he was wrong. Because of Kei Chen, the godfather, it is obvious that he has influenced Natasha and Yelena, who are the best Black Widows. Natasha's betrayal has something to do with him. Drukov did not want Yelena to repeat the mistakes of the past. Kei Chen woke up from his sleep, and there was no Erica beside him. Erica really wanted to spend more time with him, but last night she got another call and the ninja named Rado came again, and she hurried away. I don't know if the tired Erica is the opponent of the spirit butterfly. Kei Chen did not leave in a hurry, but thought about the matter of Ling Di. In addition to the ninjutsu of close combat, spirit butterfly is also a mutant. If Erica is careless, I am afraid that she is not the opponent of the other party. As for the famous name of the spirit butterfly, Kei Chen had naturally heard of it. And I can't help but think about it. It's really that Ling butterfly's body is too energetic, and I was amazed when I watched a movie in my previous life, and my eyes stared straight at it. Kei Chen has never denied that he is a laser bottle. After all, everyone has a heart for beauty. Later, there were rumors that when the actor who played the spirit butterfly wore that uniform, he used lubricant to wear it. This made Kei Chen want to see what a real spirit butterfly looked like. As for the origin of the spirit butterfly, in this world, the spirit butterfly was also the four horsemen of the apocalypse at that time, and he was also partnered with the Storm Girl. Only later betrayed the apocalypse and disappeared directly after the apocalypse was killed. Unexpectedly, she appeared again now, and also came to deal with Erica. After resting for a while, Kei Chen checked out and left. Instead of going back to Long Island with Erica last night, he and Erica found an upscale hotel, which was not a burden for him. He could live here every day if he wanted to. When I got home, I immediately saw two otaku girls. Captain Carter doesn't want to show up outside because of his identity, and Lorna is simply lazy. It seems that last night's party was very enjoyable. Kei Chen did not return at night, so that Lorna sneered when she saw him. I met Erica, Kei Chen had to say. At least Erica and Lorna were her own, and Lorna didn't say anything more when she heard this. Paige has long been accustomed to this special relationship, and in her opinion she is an outsider. It has nothing to do with her. But the little white rabbit that the big bad wolf fancy is only a matter of time before it is eaten. Although Paige is a white rabbit, there is nothing special about millennials other than special meaning. Lorna is still not ready to go out and play. Kei Chen could only put this idea down and live a peaceful life. Erica seemed to be in a stalemate with Ling D, and no one could help anyone. Every once in a while, everyone gets together, and Lorna and Erica have something to say. Time can dilute everything, and the two of them are not as hostile as they were at the beginning. Of course, that is, if you don't see each other for a long time, you will make small talk, and you can't do the so-called, 3 women 1 play. Because Paige, Lorna, and Erica are not people who talk much. Paige was silent most of the time. Erica said that she almost caught the spirit butterfly several times, but she ran away. For this result, Kei Chen is no exception. On the contrary, it is strange that Erica actually beat the spirit butterfly. I'm afraid it's not a fake. Of course, he didn't directly say it to hit Erica. Otherwise, Erica will fight with him. Natasha dragged her tired body back home. Her accommodation was not good, just an apartment distributed by S.H.I.E.L.D., and she could confirm that the neighbors were S.H.I.E.L.D. people. Maybe there was a task to monitor her. For all this, Natasha can accept it. After all, she is not an agent trained by S.H.I.E.L.D. herself, but jumped from the Red House. For agents, the hardest problem to solve is trust. Agents are the hardest to trust others, suspicious of every word, and careful about anything, and it is too difficult for Natasha to gain the trust of S.H.I.E.L.D. But just after she came in, she suddenly discovered the problem. Her room seemed to have been visited. For Natasha, it's easy to remember the layout of her room, and you don't even need to make any signs to know if anyone has been there. She looked at the curtains, the windows were tightly closed, but she was sure that the visitor had come from here. Natasha checked carefully, but the only thing she didn't expect was that the visitor didn't leave. Just as she came to the window, Natasha, who was wearing braids, suddenly felt that her braids were being pulled by someone. Long hair is a huge weakness of women when fighting, and it is women who are most familiar with this trick. In the tearing competition of women, it is not uncommon to seize the weakness of the other party to attack, tear hair, tear clothes, ride on the other party's head and beat, which are all actions made between women. At this point, Natasha was caught in her weakness. She had no choice but to let her head be pulled down, otherwise the tearing sensation on her scalp was enough to make her cry out in pain. However, she did not let herself fall to the ground, but kicked one leg on the window in front of her and kicked the other backward. This action was completed in an instant, and the person behind her really couldn't pull her hair, and she could only let go when she was kicked. Natasha braced one hand on the ground and suddenly saw Yelena with an indifferent face. Yelena, even though the two sisters hadn't seen each other for a long time, she still recognized Yelena. Yelena's face has been rounder than hers since childhood, and it is easy to distinguish. However, Yelena did not answer her, but continued to strike. Her attacks are fierce, and her moves are all directed towards Natasha's weakness. Once easily hit by her, Natasha would fall into severe pain. Natasha was naturally not to be outdone. Even if it was her own sister, she did not keep her hand. In the training of the Red House, Natasha has long become cold and ruthless, and will not relax in the face of any enemy. Kindness to the enemy is cruelty to oneself. No matter what identity this enemy is. The two scuffled together, and the scene was not good. At first, it was possible to see tricks, but soon returned to the real war of women. Pulling hair, grabbing clothes, even phoenix claw hands. Do whatever you want. But the movement made by the two is very small, and the soundproofing of the house is still good. Although Nick Fury is wary of Natasha, he doesn't want to force her away. Still gave her a lot of respect. Otherwise, Natasha would have left S.H.I.E.L.D. long ago. Therefore, the movement made by the two without using a gun was not detected by the surrounding agents. Soon, as the two fell heavily to the ground, they suddenly froze. Natasha pinched Yelena's neck, looking fierce. But she herself was no better. Her neck was entangled by Yelena with her own hair, her face was already flushed, and Yelena's legs were even more entangled in her, making it difficult for her to move. But hair is not as easy as fingers after all, and Natasha is still in the upper hand. Although no one shouted on the sidelines, "Don't fight anymore, don't fight anymore, you can't beat people to death." But the two sisters still have a tacit understanding. After giving each other a look, the slightly more relaxed Natasha counted down 3 counts. 3, 2, 1. They immediately separated each other, without saying a word. The main thing is that both of them can't breathe quickly, otherwise they will definitely pinch each other for a long time. Ha! The two sisters breathed the air greedily, and Yelena struggled to get up to open the window, but was stopped by Natasha. When she opened the window, there would be a sound coming out, and she didn't want people to find out that Yelena had come looking for her. Although the posture is to kill her. You really want to kill me? Natasha couldn't help but complain that she felt Yelena's determination. If it weren't for her superior skills, maybe the ending would have been different. Natasha, as the best Black Widow in the history of the Red House, Yelena is still a little worse than her, which makes Natasha very proud. There is nothing cooler than suppressing your own sister. This is Drkov's task. Who told you to betray us? Yelena said with a pun. Natasha naturally listened, so she was also silent. She also remembered after the fact how much impact she would have on Yelena by leaving the Red House like this. But she didn't know at that time that Yelena was still alive. After such training in the Red House, no one knows if Yelena will survive. Of course, Natasha couldn't explain. She was indeed selfish. Everyone is selfish and complex, and even the most principled people don't always do things so decently. Just like Kei Chen, he thinks he is a scumbag, but if anyone who has been with him for a long time leaves him, he will still be reluctant. But this situation is only a moment for him, and after these emotions disappear, what should happen? Even the complete bad guy has a moment of guilt. In the end, it was Yelena who broke the silence. You went to the godfather too. Yes, my godfather had already left when I went and sold all the houses, which was really merciless. Natasha is not surprised by this. When she was a child, she knew that Kei Chen was a ruthless person, and the women she dated with him basically did not meet a second time. Of course, she also has a share of credit for this. I thought it was his wife. If yes, then the godfather's vision has decreased. He prefers blonde hair and blue eyes, and white skin, then. The two began to chat about the recent situation. Yelena, of course, hated Natasha's betrayal and wanted to kill her before she saw her. But at this moment, she still couldn't be ruthless, so she chose to give up. Time flies quickly, Yelena's mission has failed, and she is leaving here. Natasha finally grabbed her and said, "We have to solve Drkov, otherwise he will always be a problem." Yelena's eyes flickered when she heard this. I don't know where Melina was taken. If you want to kill Drkov, you have to find her first. They all desperately killed Drkov and destroyed the Red House. But Yelena pays more attention to affection, especially between family members. Due to the presence of the godfather, she has little affection for Alexei, but it is different for Melina. Think in the long run. Natasha heard this and let her go. Yelena nodded, then put on her hat, opened the window directly and jumped. Without causing anyone to move, Yelena went down the street. He glanced up at Natasha by the window, nodded slightly and left. Natasha closed the window and heard a knock on the door outside. She immediately sorted out her appearance, then walked over and opened the door. Sharon, is there something going on? Opening the door, outside was her neighbor. Sharon Carter? Natasha asked calmly. Sharon Carter is about 1 meter 73 meters tall, and Natasha can see the energy coming out. He has blonde hair, big blue eyes, weighs about 60 kilograms, and maintains a good figure, with meat where there should be meat and lean where it should be. Any man who sees him will say a blonde stunner. Natasha could be sure that this was what S.H.I.E.L.D. sent to monitor her. Of course, by the head is certainly protection. Yes, I made some pastries and gave them to you to taste. Sharon said to Natasha with a smile, her big blue eyes looking at the layout of her house from time to time. The movement of his hand was not slow, and he handed Natasha the box containing the pastry. The contents of the room had long been restored by Natasha, and there was no sign of messiness in sight. Natasha did not stop and generously let her see. She knew that Sharon had probably noticed something, so she came to investigate. But Natasha's anti-reconnaissance capabilities have long been full, and in the end, Sharon does not see anything. Then Natasha happily closed the door and ate a little pastry. Yelena walked down the street wearing a hat and hands in her pockets, ready to leave here after a night of rest. Her dress, if it is Xiaohe, has already been interrogated by the enthusiastic police at this time. But her skin is white, that's okay. The patrolman passing by only glanced at it, and then looked at the conspicuous black in the crowd. But Yelena found herself being targeted. She turned and walked into the box. Someone immediately followed behind him. Yelena. The man behind him shouted. Yelena looked back and turned out to be a black widow who was also trained in the Red House. Julia, why are you here? Yelena asked with a frown. When she saw Julia approaching, she still asked very vigilantly, aren't we inaccessible during the mission? The girl known as Julia nodded slowly. You're right, Yelena. But, she muttered deliberately, my task is you. Hearing this, Yelena punched it directly. Although Julia had been prepared earlier, her speed was not as fast as Yelena, and she could not resist it, and she was punched in the face by Yelena. Then Yelena turned around and tried to escape. But when she turned around, a black widow wearing a hat also appeared in front of the alley. The other party took off his hood, revealing short blonde hair. Yelena, General Drakov wants to see you. Yelena felt a chill in her heart when she heard this, and she didn't know what the situation was. But she didn't want to be tied up, but began to resist. However, Yelena soon discovered that it was not 2 black widows who came to arrest her, but 4. When 2 more black widows jumped down from the roof, Yelena was also invincible with 2 fists and 4 hands, and was immediately pressed to the ground by the 3 black widows. Time passed quickly, and Kei Chen felt that he had spent it on a plane. All of a sudden, 2001 came up. Because Paige wants to go to Great Britain to see her family, but her identity is problematic, she must not have a passport. Therefore, Kei Chen could only let Erica prepare the plane, so he took it to Great Britain. For this moment, Paige also prepared for a long time. She wore a very old women's dress, veil and sunglasses, which were not a good match, but enough to make people not see her appearance. Only Kei Chen could tell. Coupled with the fact that her body shape is completely different from Paige in this world, she went back to find the people of the Carter family. The Carter family was a small aristocracy in Great Britain, but it was a pity that it had been so long. When they came to the former Paige house, it was no longer the Carter family where they lived. Paige's outfit fell through. They have no relationship in Great Britain, and naturally they cannot ask someone to find the Carter family. Finally, I heard from an old neighbor that the Carter family had long since moved to the United States. I heard that it was because Peggy Carter made a name for herself in the United States. So he took his family over. Paige, who heard the news, was suddenly full of thoughts. It seems that Paige of this world is doing a good job. She didn't know if she should be happy or disappointed. I only know that my family is doing well, although those who have lived until now are estimated to be her descendants. Her brother doesn't know if he will survive to this day. After experiencing this incident, Captain Carter, who returned to the United States, seemed to have settled his mind and had nothing to ask for. Even if she had any requirements, Kei Chen would try his best to meet her. It's April 1st. Kei Chen didn't care so much about his birthday. In fact, he didn't care about this all the time, just gave everyone a reason to get together. Lorna doesn't even know what day her birthday is, because she has been abandoned since she was a child, and she doesn't know the exact date of birth, so she doesn't want to know. Paige didn't even think about it. In theory, she didn't even know how old she should be. She is only 3 years younger than Steve Rogers. Steve Rogers was born in 1918, and she was born in 1921. In 1921, she lived with a young appearance in 2001. She didn't even know if she should be 80 or 23. This April Fool's Day Erica didn't come. Kei Chen, they haven't seen Erica for a long time. But knowing that she was in trouble, and that she didn't offer to need help, I could only pray in silence. At night, Kei Chen did not let anyone into his room, but seriously recuperated. Mainly for check-in, he wanted to get the most out of his luck. Soon he completed his 2001 check-in. This also means that it has been 9 years since he came to this world, although it has only been 8 years since he signed in. Congratulations to the host for successfully surviving for 8 years, hiding his strength, and getting a check in reward, Wonder Woman's Lasso of Truth. Wonder Woman's Lasso. The Lasso of Truth is the exclusive weapon of Wonder Woman Diana, which is made by the Vulcan Hephaestus using the gold belt of the Earth goddess Gaia. The lasso was given by the house goddess Hestia and shot from the sacred mountain of Olympus by Artemis, the goddess of the moon, herself, on a divine arrow. It is unbreakable, and those trapped by it can only speak the truth. Cold knowledge. This lasso is Wonder Woman Diana's weakness. If you use it to deal with her, it will have a miraculous effect. A golden lasso appeared on Kei Chen's hand, and at first glance, it looked like some kind of toy. In fact, the painter who designed Wonder Woman had a hobby in this area, and he also studied the spit agent. Hence the strange artifact of the Lasso of Truth. But it has to be said that its effect is indeed an artifact. When Wonder Woman can't fly at first, she can use it to achieve a short stagnant effect. The most important thing is that if Kei Chen and Wonder Woman are hostile in the future, you can use this mantra lasso to subdue her in an instant, and then do whatever you want. If you want to hee hee, if you want to ha ha. He put away the lasso of mantra, although he wanted to try it, but he still didn't try it with the people around him. Even if you want to have a little more fun, you can use ordinary ones. It still hurts to draw a mantra lasso to pick people up. Today, Kei Chen has gained a lot of things. Some are items, some are abilities, and these things superimposed to make him an omnipotent being. For this, Kei Chen was not dissatisfied. The only thing to complain about is that the annual check-in made him wait too long. If he could check in every day, he would have punched Odin and kicked Ji Yi. He looked at his panel. There were too few things before, and opening it made him feel nothing, but now it is a full sense of accomplishment. Host: Kei Chen. Items: Life-sharing necklace, Mother, Fountain of Eternal Life, Wonder Woman's mantra lasso. Abilities: Batman's combat ability, Hot Vision, Motherland version, Telepathy, Teleportation ability, Mirror Space. Although it still seems to have very few things, even very few, it is much better than before. Another few days passed. That night, when Kei Chen was exercising with Lorna in the room, honing his skills. Lorna was sweating profusely, feeling like her whole soul was about to come out, and this feeling that could not be expressed in words made her intoxicated. But at this moment, the window of the room was suddenly opened, which frightened Lorna. Kei Chen was the same. He relaxed all over, and suddenly there was movement in the room, and he thought he had encountered an assassin. He was completely defenseless. No wonder assassins liked to strike at such times, which was unexpected. After all, this is something that requires physical and mental commitment. Lorna held the quilt and looked at the window, and before she could move, she saw Erica dressed in red. Erica covered her abdomen, several obvious scars, and there were injuries everywhere on her body. The blood could not stop flowing outside at this time. Lorna was a little sluggish. But seeing that it was Erica, her nervous heart also relaxed. What's going on? When Kei Chen saw Erica like this, he immediately walked over. It's the spirit butterfly, that bitcha, I finally escaped. Erica gritted her teeth a little weakly. After fighting with Ling D for so long, she finally didn't win the other party. Kei Chen and they immediately took Erica downstairs, and then took out the medical kit to help her treat. This simple treatment technique, many people know. Some Americans, in particular, prefer to have medical kits at home to avoid injury. Because going to the hospital is too expensive, the average person simply cannot afford to go, and a simple injury can be bandaged by yourself. Erica soon became a mummy, wrapped in gauze on her abdomen and arms. This movement naturally alarmed Paige. She was almost asleep, and she also came down to check at this time. When I saw Erica's bandaged appearance, I was suddenly speechless. "You craftsmanship, let me come." She squeezed away Kei Chen, who took the opportunity to get oil, and came to help Erica change the bandage. Erica frowned in pain, but didn't make a sound. She also recovers quickly and doesn't leave scars on her body. Otherwise, as a ninja, her body would have been covered with scars all over her body. Paige is a World War II veteran after all, has a lot of experience with this injury, and quickly helped Erica get it right, and the bandage was still good looking. Sure enough, women love beauty at all times, even if they are injured. From Erica's satisfied eyes, you can see that she is still very happy. After all, she doesn't want to be too obvious, and the gauze bandaged in this way looks a little more distinctive, which does not affect her beauty. "What the hell is going on?" Kei Chen asked Erica. Erica then gritted her teeth and said, "I had a little trouble when I bought a company. It turned out that the Trask group behind this slut made trouble, so I went to find her trouble, and I was ambushed by her. I finally ran out. Nah bitch's ability is stronger than me, and I didn't use my full strength before, but today it almost left me." Erica said indignantly. The other party is a mutant, and although she has been trained by the stick, she is only human. Ling D only uses its own force, and can only fight with her up and down. But when Ling D starts using mutant abilities, Erica is no match for her. Spirit Butterfly's mutant ability has been amplified by the apocalypse, and her spiritual energy can be used to craft katanas, daggers, bows, arrows, crossbows, ropes, shields and other weapons. In addition to these unpredictable weapons, Spirit Butterfly's telepathy can also cause psychic explosions on enemies. That is, projecting spiritual energy to the enemy, but actually harming the enemy's body. This ability can even break through telepathic helmets, which even Professor X's telepathy cannot. Even Ling D can predict what will happen next, and Erica's every move has been predicted by her. How can this fight? The last time I encountered such a tricky enemy was Bullseye, but it was also Bullseye who saw through her moves, but Ling D directly foresaw, not a level at all. Kei Chen and the others calmed her and promised to help her take revenge, and Erica was full of confidence. The Trask group. How somewhat familiar. When Erica calmed down, Kei Chen asked. Of course it's familiar, it's that little man, now an old man, but since he was young, he has been jumping up and down, wanting to completely solve mutants. He also made some kind of sentinel plan, and he has been fooling Congress into participating, but no one has birded him. I didn't expect that Ling D, this bitcha, actually worked for a guy who wanted to eliminate mutants, and she forgot her identity. Erica said as her anger rose again. After all, she almost died in the hands of Ling D this time, and her temper was already hot, that is, ninja training suppressed some. Kei Chen suddenly realized when he heard this, and patted her on the back to ease her down. After all, anger hurts. Trask, it turned out to be the guy who planned the Sentinel plan. To put it bluntly, he is also a capitalist. Naturally the Sentinel program was made to make money. According to the timeline, Trasker has already succeeded once. Because Raven the Witch shot Trask while in Congress, making people aware of the threat and brazenness of mutants, the Sentinel robot was immediately on the agenda. As a result, in just 50 years, humans built complete Sentinel robots and almost wiped out mutants. The concept of the Sentinel robot is that mutants are badasses, and the villains naturally have to be destroyed. Later, everything with a little variant gene in the gene was eliminated, causing a lot of panic. But it is also true that the Sentinel robots are getting stronger and stronger, and the mutants are almost wiped out. But mutants can open up. Professor X and others let Wolverine travel through time and space, directly reversing the future. As a result, the Witch Raven was prevented from shooting Trask in Congress. The butterfly only gently flapped its wings, but the result was completely different. Because Trasker is just a small player, a capitalist. His purpose is only to fool people into investing in him and making money. Who would look at a mutant when no one was aware of his threat? Discerning people know that investing is nothing. Therefore, even if he jumped up and down for so many years, the Sentinel robot naturally did not have a little progress. But the funny thing is that Ling D turned out to be the person he employed. But it's not surprising that there are traitors among mutants. Not everyone wants to be mutants, most people would rather be normal. But Trask has failed, and now that he has survived, he is a proper loser, and no one wants to pay attention to his sentinel plan. Why would he look for mutants? Could it be that he discovered the benefits of mutants? The most important thing is that Erica is not a mutant. Why are they targeting you? Kei Chen asked Erica. Erica said, interests, my father is now the #1 rich businessman in New York, we have offended a lot of people, I don't know how many people secretly want to kill us. Erica sighed. Her father is now surrounded by bodyguards, and he has undergone multiple assassinations. What Erica didn't know was that if Kim wasn't dead, it would be her father who died now. Kim would not allow anyone to provoke his authority. Especially New York. What Erica's father did touched the interests of many people. Although she didn't say it directly, Kei Chen and they also understood. For things between these capitalists, neither Lorna nor Paige is very interested, or even has no good feelings. It is difficult for normal people to have a good impression of capitalists, because these people are vampires. In that case, let's start with the spirit butterfly first. A smile appeared on Kei Chen's face, he naturally wanted to support Erica. A few days later in the night, Erica, who has almost recovered, changed into her red ninja suit and stood on the roof of a building in New York. She still had gauze bandaged on her, but it didn't affect her movements. In order to appear real, she also deliberately waited a few days before coming out. This made her extremely anxious. Erica couldn't help but want to teach Ling D this blue pool a lesson. She shuttled between tall buildings, but Ling D did not appear directly. However, Erica was not anxious, but acted very carefully. After all, her purpose was to lure Ling D out, and she also took the initiative to find Trask, looking like she wanted revenge. At this time, Ling D finally couldn't sit still. Phew, just when Erica was on guard, a bow and arrow flew directly over. Erica instantly drew her 3-pronged short sword and broke the arrow in the air. But this is just an arrow that Ling D conjured up with spiritual energy, and although it was instantly broken in the air, the arrow still maintained its strength and flew towards Erica. Erica was unfazed, and another 3-pronged short sword split it from it. Looking up again, the spirit butterfly had already appeared. She stood higher and looked at Erica indifferently. She was wearing a dark purple tights, straps on her hands and legs, dark purple high-heeled boots, and her long hair fluttering in the wind. Ling Di held the transformed bow in her hand, which had been lifted by her at this time. It's you again, Ling Di said coldly, as if a little impatient. I've already let you go, why come looking for death? She was telling the truth. If she directly used her mind-blasting ability, Erica would not be able to run at all. In her opinion, it was just a lesson for Erica, and didn't go all out. However, her words greatly annoyed Erica. The dead should be you, I want you to crawl at my feet. Erica shouted coldly. She not only wanted to defeat the spirit butterfly, but also humiliate her. Only then can he avenge his injuries. Of course, she couldn't defeat the spirit butterfly. When Ling Di heard this, a cold light flashed in her eyes, and she immediately jumped over. Wearing high heels and shuttling between buildings, he is a ruthless person like Erica. She stood in front of Erica and drew the katana at her waist. Her body flashed purple, and then the katana seemed to be enchanted, and her telepathic creation ability was very powerful. It is used just like the real thing, and the damage is higher than that of the real weapon. Erica was also not polite and rushed straight up. She still wants to fight with Ling Di with her own strength. Seeing this, Ling Di naturally began to fight back. She raised her katana and easily blocked Erica's double attack with 2 easy clicks. But at this moment, she felt that the spiritual creation ability on her katana was destroyed. The katana, which was originally a spirit weapon, instantly turned into an ordinary weapon. And when Erica saw her appearance, she became more and more courageous, only attacking and not defending, and instantly gained the upper hand. In normal battles, Erica always leaves some leeway, which allows her to better deal with unexpected situations. But now that there was someone behind her, she completely gave up defense, as if fighting with Ling Butterfly, and the crazy attack made Ling Butterfly tired of coping. Ling D didn't expect her to be so fierce, plus her katana failed, and she immediately wanted to use her mutant ability. She conjured a dagger, but in an instant the dagger disappeared again. This made her can't help but use her mind-blasting ability to hurt Erica, but found that her psychic ability was like a stone sinking into the ocean. At this time, where did she not know that there were other people here? And there is also a telepathic existence that can break her mutant ability. Single-handedness instantly turned into a dozen or two, and even Ling D panicked. Under this unguarded encounter, she immediately chose to escape. She quickly found an opportunity to block Erica's two-handed weapons and kick Erica away. This kicked Erica's wound, which had not fully healed. Erica cried out in pain, and hated Ling D even more. But Ling D did not choose to continue attacking her, but decisively turned around and wanted to escape. Ling D is very decisive, knowing that there is another person next to him and will not continue to fight. Kei Chen knew that she had found herself, but she didn't know where he was hiding. He didn't expect Ling Butterfly to be so decisive. However, Kei Chen naturally wouldn't let the cooked duck fly from his mouth. After seeing Ling D himself, he was even more interested. Nothing else, just want to ask Ling Butterfly how to wear this dress, is it convenient to see? Kei Chen, who was fully prepared, turned over a noose in his hand. Mantra lasso. Kei Chen urged it with strength, and the lasso of mantra, which was already like an ordinary rope, instantly became tough, and it also exuded a faint golden light. It was as if it had divine nature, and as Kei Chen flung it over, the lasso of truth flew directly towards the spirit butterfly. Phew, just for a moment, he came to Ling D's side. The spirit butterfly was still in the air at this time, ready to flee here, and without any defense, it was directly tied by the lasso of the mantra. Even if she is guarded, it is useless, the lasso of truth is not something that ordinary people can resist. Ah! The moment the spirit butterfly was entangled, it shouted, and it instantly lost the ability to resist. In addition to the perversion of Superman, ordinary people can only be tied up when they are caught in the lasso of truth. Seeing this, Kei Chen smiled slightly, and as soon as his hand was withdrawn, Ling D was directly swung towards him by the lasso of truth. This scene looks like Spider-Man, floating in the air with spider silk. It's just that Spider-Man shoots spider silk by himself, and she is tied. One active and one passive. Ling D was hung in front of Kei Chen. At this time, Kei Chen was standing on the edge of the roof, and the spirit butterfly was tied in the air like a fishing fish, and if the lasso of truth was loosened, she would instantly fall to the ground and turn into a lump of mashed meat. Kei Chen held the lasso of truth in one hand, and the lasso of truth was extremely hard, with no traces of instant loosening. Ling Di was thus controlled and came to Kei Chen. With his left hand, he grabbed Ling Di's snow-white chin. "Ah!" Ling Di suddenly exclaimed, her voice a little charming and seductive, a bit like it came from a game. Suddenly, Kei Chen, Erica looked at Kei Chen and Ling Di with strange eyes, not knowing whether Kei Chen was abnormal or this woman was not normal. Ling Di also blushed shyly, not knowing what was going on with him. How can you call it out directly? It's too shameful. Only Kei Chen knew that what was really abnormal was this mantra lasso. But there must be something wrong with Ling Di. After a while, Ling Di controlled the blush on her face. Kei Chen also grabbed her chin with a majestic look and made her look directly into his eyes. "Who are you?" Ling Di asked with difficulty. She felt that there was something wrong with the lasso on her body, as if it burned her heart. Fortunately, as long as Kei Chen does not take the initiative to ask questions, she will not talk nonsense. "I am the one who conquered you," Kei Chen said with a grim smile. "You dream. Although you are indeed handsome, you are far from conquering me." Ling Di said his inner words in one breath, and he was suddenly a little confused. What's going on? Erica's eyes froze when she heard this. This little bitch dared to seduce her man in front of her. She immediately grabbed Ling Butterfly's hair and pulled it down, and Ling Butterfly in the air suddenly exclaimed in pain. My legs in high-heeled boots kept pedaling. Kei Chen also looked stupid and hurriedly rescued the spirit butterfly. Now it's on the edge of the roof, so it's not fun if you don't stand on your feet. And, why do women like to pull their hair? Yes. Kei Chen pulled Ling Di over and said coldly, surrender, or die. He looked at Ling Di's flattering eyes. Kei Chen did not have the slightest emotion in his eyes, and seemed to really only give her these two choices. Ling Di's heart was suddenly flustered, and there was not the slightest hesitation. I surrender. This is the truth in her heart. She didn't want to die, not at all. Erica didn't expect her to be so direct. She looked quite tough, and it turned out to be a soft bone. She didn't know that this was all the effect of the lasso of truth, and she suddenly had some disgust for Ling D. Dressed like this, it is indeed a blue pool. Not only are the bones soft, but it is disgusting to hook up with your own man in front of yourself. Kei Chen immediately smiled when he heard this. Ling D is still quite familiar. Therefore, he patted Ling Di's face. Ling Di was not old at this time, about 20 years old, which was the peak of his appearance. Not only does she have the youth of an adolescent girl, but also the maturity that a girl does not have, which is reflected in her figure and movements. It's all about style. Since she had surrendered, Kei Chen did not continue to hang her on the edge of the top floor, but pulled her up. He put away the lasso of truth, mainly for fear that Ling Di would say something outrageous. After all, Erica is still on the side. Erica's eyes have begun to be wrong. Looking at Ling Di's eyes is like a wife seeing mistress, and she can't wait to tear her apart. If she said anything, from the heart, Erica wouldn't be able to do it again. And in the case of Ling Butterfly's submission, who should Kei Chen help? Therefore, he can only put away this devilish lasso of mantra. He holds this thing in a strange style, thinking that Wonder Woman Diana is always with him. Kei Chen's eyes became serious. If there were only two people, he and Ling D, they could still have fun, but now was not the time. You should know how it works. Kei Chen continued to pinch her chin and lift her head. Ling Di is 1 meter 8 meters tall, the tallest among the women around Kei Chen, and she is still wearing high-heeled boots at this time. I am afraid that it is close to 1 meter 9, which is enough for her and Kei Chen to look at each other. There was no feeling of looking down, which made Kei Chen very unhappy. I want you to tell the truth. Kei Chen said. I see. Ling Di was already convinced, but she didn't give up the idea of running away. However, seeing the lasso of mantra in Kei Chen's hand, a trace of fear flashed in her eyes. It is not easy to run with this thing. And in her eyes, Kei Chen also captured a trace of strange emotions. She really has a problem. In fact, it is not strange to have this kind of heart. Kei Chen does not mean to mock. Everyone has a touch of tyranny in their hearts to a greater or lesser extent. Whether it's to commit violence, or to endure. Why did you do it to Erica? Kei Chen asked. Erica also gave up speculation and stared at her instead. Ling Di did not hesitate. Naturally it was not a lie, because her family interfered with Trask's plan. What plan? Erica asked. She also felt very inexplicable. Because their family's recent business has been done with the group of people who are doing well in their small lives. Trask wants to sell the Sentinel program to people abroad. Ling Di said simply. Apparently, Trask has not yet abandoned the Sentinel program, but wants to sell it to other countries. Let them come and destroy the mutants. In addition to making money, Trask obviously really wants to eliminate mutants, and it is best to be able to make money at the same time. Kei Chen didn't expect him to be so bold. At that time, the Sentinel project was launched in the United States, but later they found that the threat of mutants was not as great as Trask said, so they abandoned the Sentinel project. Even Professor X had a good relationship with the big guys. Now Trasker wants to sell the Sentinel plan, which will undoubtedly touch the interests of this side. It is simply looking for death. Erica also smiled. With this news, it was enough to send Trask to prison. Since you know that Trask wants to destroy the mutant, why do you have to do things for him? Kei Chen asked Ling Di again. Ling Di also smiled bitterly when she heard this. My brother Jamie, he is controlled by Trask. Trask threatened me with his life. If I don't do things for him, Jamie will die. I don't want to lose my family. Hearing Ling Di's words, Kei Chen and Erica looked at each other and did not say anything. Do you know anything else? Kei Chen pinched her chin and asked. We want evidence from Trask. The spirit butterfly who was pinched by his chin seemed to have some pleasure, and then fell into a careful memory. It took a while before she said, I know a secret base in Trask, and he seems to have started a Sentinel program with some organization, but with little success. Quote. What? Kei Chen and Erica were both a little surprised. Trask actually secretly launched the Sentinel program, which is a big deal. If he really succeeds, I'm afraid that the situation of mutants will become like that again. That's enough to make him die 100 times. Erica sneered suddenly. She is a vengeful person, and if she catches the handle of the enemy, she will naturally not make the enemy feel better. But all of this requires evidence. Kei Chen would naturally help her, because he still had a Lorna at home. If the Sentinel robot really develops into what he remembers again, then Lorna will not escape the fate of being hunted. He naturally strangled these dangers in the cradle. So, he grabbed Ling D's head and said, "Do you know where the location is?" "I don't know, I'm not his confidant, but if I go back and investigate, I may be able to find it." Ling Di looked at Kei Chen's eyes and said, "Very sincere." But Kei Chen wouldn't believe her so easily. Kei Chen, who knows enough about women, knows that every woman is born an actor. Perhaps from the moment they met, she thought about what kind of persona she wanted to use to approach you, and then played with you in the palm of her hand. Kei Chen has seen too many of this. There are young women who drink stuffy wine and pretend to be chaste, and the result is better than anyone. There are also jerky students who pretend to be pure, but your debut plot is only worth a few $100s. And, in short, Kei Chen knew that they could act a lot, and he naturally wouldn't believe it easily if he was an old fritters like Ling D. "I can let you go, but, when you say this, the second half of the sentence is often important." Ling Di was overjoyed in her heart and looked at Kei Chen. Then she noticed that the scene around her had changed. Just in an instant, Kei Chen grabbed her and came to a field of ice and snow. Then it changed again, and the two of them appeared on the endless grassland. The scene is constantly changing, and it is so real every time. The biting cold wind hurt her face, the desert sun made her feel like she was burning, and the breeze on the grassland made her feel refreshed. This also made Ling Di realize that the ability of the man in front of him was very terrifying. Soon, Kei Chen and Ling Di returned to the roof of New York. He grabbed Ling Di's face and came closer. At this time, Kei Chen's eyes had turned scarlet. Kei Chen and Ling Di looked at each other, and Ling Di seemed to be able to feel the hot temperature from his eyes, which could instantly turn her into ashes, making her afraid in her heart, and did not dare to have the slightest heart of betrayal. With a hideous smile on the corner of his mouth, Kei Chen looked like a demon god of hell. "If you dare to have a different heart, I can find you wherever you are and send you to hell." Hearing Kei Chen's words, Ling Di was stunned, but finally did not forget to nod. She nodded in agreement like pounding garlic, looking frightened. In her opinion, even the original Apocalypse was not as terrifying as Kei Chen. Although the Apocalypse seems to have a lot of abilities, any ability can be a little, but it is not as powerful as Kei Chen, and it is so intuitive that she feels the gap. That pair of hot eyes, only slightly brewing, made her feel cold all over her body, as if death was coming. "When you get the news, contact me." Kei Chen put her down, and gave a jujube a stick. "As long as you faithfully do things for me, I will rescue your family and give you a good future." Ling Di nodded when she heard this, not knowing if she believed it, but at least there was no resentment. For people of her personality, it is necessary to be strong. Because her whole person is very dull, that is, the kind that can stand on the side without saying a word, and her bones seem to exude a coldness. As long as she is strong against the spirit butterfly, it can arouse the nature hidden in her bones. Kei Chen let her know how to contact herself, so she left directly with Erica. Seeing them leave, Ling Di breathed a sigh of relief. After hesitating, she turned and headed towards Trask's company. Ling Di knew Trask's company very well, and using her own ability, coupled with familiarity, she quickly infiltrated Trask's company. Then, in the face of this complicated information, I began to search. She recalled the fear that Kei Chen had brought her, which made her dare not slack off at all. Ling Di also hated Trask in her heart, and if she had the opportunity, she would definitely stab this guy a few times. "Can this bitcha be trusted?" Erica asked Kei Chen. "It should be possible," Kei Chen said. "Even if she doesn't do things for us, she doesn't dare to come to you to trouble." Of course, Kei Chen believed that Ling Di was a smart person. Smart people don't seek their own death. Especially since she was so afraid of death. When the X-Men fought against the Apocalypse, Ling Di was the first to go. "Stay." Kei Chen sent an invitation to Erica. Erica covered her abdomen and said, "My wound has worsened again. If I had to come, it would make me feel like I had a baby in my belly." "It will hurt," Erica explained, and then went back to rest. Kei Chen sent her away, and Paige and Lorna were already resting. They knew that the two of them had something to do when they went out tonight, but they were not worried about Kei Chen. There are definitely not many people in this world who can threaten Kei Chen. Kei Chen returned to his room. Just when he thought he was going to spend the lonely night alone, he noticed a person in the room. And she was standing in the middle of the room, not sitting down. It was Jean Grey, who had reddish-brown hair. Jean. Kei Chen was still a little panicked when he saw Chin, thinking that she had killed from Karmatage. But seeing Jean Grey dressed in a mage robe, I knew that it still had an effect. The Supreme Mage is worthy of being a Supreme Mage, and it is really strong. Kei Chen, long time no see. When Chin saw Kei Chen come in, she immediately showed a happy smile. Her face no longer had those red spots, and the power of the Phoenix had initially fused partially. After the complete fusion, she will be the White Phoenix. It seems that you are in good shape, but why did you come to me so late? Quote. Running to his room at night, it's easy for others to misunderstand. Karmatage is daytime, Jean said with some embarrassment. This little girl doesn't even know the time difference. She has been studying magic at Karmatage for a long time, and she is truly gifted. The portal was learned in an instant, and other profound magic she could also master quickly, and did not need to use power from the dimensional demon god, and could be replaced by the power of the Phoenix. Of course, even if you borrow power, it's not a big deal, and it's difficult for the dimensional demon god to find her to pay her debt. The power of the Phoenix is extremely advanced, and the dimensional demon god masters it is also energy, and it is not as high as the original energy level of the power of the Phoenix. Once the piano fully masters the power of the Phoenix, it is difficult to say who will win and who will lose. This talent makes Karmatage's mages envious. Even the later Doctor Strange did not have the speed of Jean. This is the conclusion drawn by Ji Yuyi. She has seen the River of Time countless times and knows that Strange's magical talent, although it can also be quick, but the foundation will not be solid, not as perverted as Jean. But even so, Strange is considered to be the most gifted Supreme Mage in history. But now, Furuchi has given this title to Phoenix Nuken Grey. Strange, give me a side. If Ji Yuyi had a choice, she would definitely not choose Strange to become the Supreme Mage. What many people don't know is that Ji Yuyi actually dislikes Strange very much. Doctor Strange is not a charismatic person, at least in Koichi's opinion. In Ji Yuyi's opinion, Strange is full of inferior roots. Strange is a self-righteous, selfish man who destroys almost everything good and always makes bad choices. So many qualities superimposed on a person, so that Ji Yuyi couldn't like it. But Ji Yuyi had no other choice, and after watching the River of Time countless times, Strange was the most gifted mage. So she finally chose Strange, and finally slowly accepted him, because his talent is indeed too good. But Ji Yuyi didn't treat Strange very well. Crazy blows to Strange, and a quick fix on him, allowing him to master magic directly without giving him time to lay the groundwork. Ji Yuyi is optimistic about Strange, but he just wants to retire. She has been a venerable mage for so many years, and she is not allowed to retire and go out to play. So after finding a Strange to take over, she died, very casually. But now, Ji Yuyi has a new choice. Kei Chen sent the Phoenix Girl Grey to her. A person who does not exist in the River of Time at all quietly gives an extra branch to the originally established River of Time. And Furuchi did not cut off this branch, but followed it. Even a person with a bad track record like Strange can become a Supreme Mage, why can't the piano? So, Ji Yu began to lay a good foundation for Chin, allowing her to thoroughly master the power of the Phoenix in her body. At that moment, Chin was the strongest Supreme Mage from ancient times to the present. Strange is just the most talented, but Jean is the strongest. Jean naturally didn't know what Furuchi thought, she just hadn't talked to anyone for a long time. Finally, Ji Yuyi gave her a holiday, and she was going to come to Kei Chen to play. Even if it was a big night, he chatted with Kei Chen. It seems that Karmatage really suffocated her. Jean is a young man, and Karmatage has too many rules for her to adapt. When leaving Karmatage, the sad Jean found that she had nowhere to go. There is no place to welcome her, and she is a mutant, where can she go? Therefore, She chose to come to Kei Chen. Kei Chen did not drive her away, but had a long conversation with her, and nothing happened. Although Chen has a little ignorant emotion, but her simplicity is most, Kei Chen can't bear to destroy this piece of tranquility. An underground research base on the outskirts of New York City. SHIELD's annual funding is sky high, making many people wonder what Nick Fury, the guy who replaced Alexander Pierce, with this money. The 5 rogues decided not to give S.H.I.E.L.D. so much support next time, but every time they were fooled by Nick Fury, they immediately invested money stupidly. In the area of money, Nick Fury is a professional. It's the same with spending money. Such an underground research base in the suburbs of New York would cost at least tens of billions of dollars to build, not to mention the annual maintenance costs. And such a base, Nick Fury does not know how many S.H.I.E.L.D. have. As the king of agents, he knows the importance of the 3 caves of the cunning rabbit, so he has more than 3 caves. Some of them are not even recorded in the information of S.H.I.E.L.D., and they are completely arranged by himself. In the underground research base, the cosmic cube sparkled. From the Hydra in the Red Skull period to the Hydra in the current S.H.I.E.L.D. period, he has been studying the cosmic cube and wants to fully control it. But for such a long time, he has only been able to grasp the fur, barely using its cosmic energy, and he has not been able to control it. Just like this experiment, they want to use the cosmic energy on the cosmic cube to build their own quantum collider. As a result, not only was the energy not used, but the quantum collider was not manufactured. Even if the remains of the quantum collider made by Gold were here for them to study, a group of S.H.I.E.L.D. scientists could not replicate it. They don't understand exactly how this thing is made, it looks like there are problems everywhere. But it just worked. Nick Fury, who came to inspect the results, was greatly annoyed. A bunch of regular scientists, not as good as the group of scientists who pay for Gold. He doesn't understand. It can only be said that human potential is infinite, especially in the face of life and death crises. If you don't give Gold and make it, but you have to lose your head, Nick Fury has no such worries here. Therefore, a group of people with a mentality of doing their best, naturally it is impossible to achieve the effect that must be created. Moreover, Jinhei's quantum collider is also a mistake. After many experiments and improvements, they finally succeeded this time. Nick Fury was angry, but there was no way. Only Kim can be blamed and too ruthless. The quantum collider was destroyed, and all those scientists were going to be killed. In this way, the knowledge disappears completely. Even if they find some manuscripts, it won't help S.H.I.E.L.D. very much. Doctor, how long will it take to build a working quantum collider? We have a cosmic cube. Nick Fury asked quietly. It's hard to say about science, maybe tomorrow, maybe next year, maybe 10 years from now. The doctor didn't give him the exact time, and he wasn't very afraid of him. This made Nick Fury a little helpless. He felt that the cosmic cube had a huge effect, but it was a pity that they were like people guarding a gold mine, and they couldn't dig the gold inside. Although, Nick Fury does not know what will happen even if the quantum collider is actually created and another parallel universe is connected. But he firmly believes that the pros outweigh the disadvantages. If the other world had its own, I am afraid that it would also choose to cooperate. He knows his character deeply. Soon, he went to see Vanessa and Richard, who were used as experimental guinea pigs. In another world, they were the wives of the underground emperor Kim Hee, but here they became the subject of S.H.I.E.L.D. research. They worked hard to find differences between the two to see if they could build a quantum collider. Unfortunately, there seems to be no difference, and there is no deadly virus on the body. Nick Fury is already thinking about what to do with the two. At this moment, Vanessa had something to say to him. Richard is still a child, he still needs to study, you can't keep him here like this. Vanessa pleaded bitterly, pity the hearts of the world's parents. Nick Fury is also a human after all, looking at Richard, who is completely different from King, and chose to arrange for him to study. At this time, Nick Fury received news that someone under his hand had found the Sentinel robot. Yelena opened her eyes groggily. She felt that her mind was in chaos, and her memories were even blurred to a certain extent. She has been locked up in this little dark room ever since she was brought back from New York. Even though she couldn't see anything in the dark, she knew that this was the Red House. Was she treated like this by Dreykov just because she didn't kill Natasha? Yelena didn't feel that simple, but it didn't matter how she felt. Her hands and feet were tied and she couldn't move. Even many times consciousness is not fully awake. Yelena could even feel that someone must be watching her secretly. She felt exactly right. Drov stood in front of the surveillance screen, looking at Yelena, who was quiet in the picture. She didn't choose to break free, and she didn't make any other moves. Drov looked indifferent, because in addition to Yelena, there were many other Black Widows in the picture, who were also arrested and began to experiment. Ever since Natasha defected, Drov was aware of the problem. Even the best Black Widow betrayed him. He treated Natasha so well, she couldn't bear to betray herself. What about the other Black Widows? When he suddenly realized that all Black Widows hated him, he began a new experiment. Drov wants to develop a way to control Black Widow so that they will never betray themselves. After several years of preparation, the experiment finally began. Yelena's situation is the most unstable. She doesn't seem to be resisting, but subconsciously she has been fighting the experiment. A short-haired stunner came to report to Drov. Previously it was a man from the Malbert military, but he was taken up by Drov and transferred over. He is calm and trustworthy, more trustworthy than Black Widow. Yelena's situation does not surprise me. She is the best Black Widow besides Natasha. Drov sighed. Alexei and Melina really gave me two treasures, but it's a pity that Natasha betrayed before she could control it. In Drykov's opinion, the other Black Widows packed up and were not enough to exchange for Natasha and Yelena. Of course, it is not necessary to say how much he cares. He can ruthlessly give up on everyone. There are already a few Black Widows who can't stand the experiment and die. The brain is the most mysterious area of mankind, said the short-haired female officer, but was immediately interrupted by Drykov. I need faithful Black Widows, or they will betray us at any time. Good Black Widow should be obedient. Drykov was very determined, looking at the monitor with indifferent eyes. Seeing this, the short-haired female officer stopped talking and stood silently to the side. In the army, she has seen a lot of dictators like Drykov and knows that whatever she says is useless. Because this kind of person only needs unconditional support. Of course, as a woman, she also has a touch of empathy in her heart. Black Widows are all women, but in this poor place, they are trained to kill people, but even so, Drykov did not let them go, and wanted to completely control this group of poor people. What a madman. After several days of careful investigation, Ling D finally found some clues. Trasker did not notice Spirit Butterfly's movements at all, not knowing that Spirit Butterfly was ready to kill him. At first, he was still careful to watch out for Ling D, but after a long time, he found that Ling D's woman was still very obedient. If he hadn't been old, he suspected that he would have called Ling D to go to bed by himself, and Ling D would have agreed. Facing such an honest and obedient Spirit Butterfly, he naturally relaxed his guard. Coupled with the concealment of the Spirit Butterfly, the location of the secret base was quickly found. She didn't tell Kei Chen directly. She was ready to go to the place to see it first, and then tell Kei Chen if it was true. Although it was only for a short time, Kei Chen had already left a psychological shadow on her. If this news was false, she was afraid that Kei Chen would do something terrifying to her. Therefore, Ling D did not waste time and directly touched the address himself. It's just that when she found the address, it was in the afternoon, and she happened to run into the route to the airport, and she was undoubtedly blocked. New York's airport was built 60 years ago and is now completely overwhelmed with traffic jams every day. Therefore, in the movie, see the protagonist on the road to the airport is stuck in traffic. Don't feel bloody, because art comes from life. This is the true portrayal of New York. When I finally arrived in New Jersey, it turned out to be dark. New Jersey is just across the river from New York, but to New Yorkers, New Jersey are country people, and this chain of disdain extends in all directions. For example, the New Jersey Nets, because they are separated by a river, are not looked at by New Yorkers. Soon, Ling D found a heavily guarded mansion. Even at night, the security here is very high. Based on her years of experience, she immediately judged that there was something wrong here. And she didn't raise it, didn't have a brain wreck to go in and investigate first, but was ready to tell Kei Chen immediately. Only at this time, she has been discovered. Just when Ling Di told Kei Chen the news, as soon as he dialed the phone, he felt something unusual outside the high heels. I found a place, address in New Jersey. As soon as she said this, she looked down and saw a spider-like machine at her feet, all with mechanical legs, crawling fast. She looked from a distance and suddenly saw a row of such things crawling towards her. Even if Ling Di was used to seeing big scenes, he was cold in his heart at this time. She already recognized what it was. On Trask's plan. The prototype of the Sentinel robot. There is no doubt that because of the mutant genes in her body, these Sentinel robots are like sharks that smell blood, and they immediately discovered her. Sentinel robots, made to hunt down mutants. The spirit butterfly immediately made a decision, and the katana in his hand transformed and slashed towards the spider prototype of the Sentinel robot. And yet, poof, with a hard sound, the spider was not damaged at all. The Sentinel robot is much harder than she thought. And the moment Ling Butterfly hesitated, countless spider primordial forms rushed towards her. These Sentinel robots directly opened their mechanical feet, and then stabbed her like an octopus. Her arms, thighs, and even her small man's waist were all possessed by the sentry robot in an instant. Her abilities are completely unable to solve these things, so she can only let the sentry robot knock her down and drag her inside the building. Ling D stretched out her hand weakly, but the mobile phone was directly destroyed by the sentry robot. Kei Chen looked at the phone that had been hung up, and just wanted to let Ling D send a picture, so he could move directly to teleport. But the phone was directly hung up, and the call prompted that the phone had been turned off and there was something to leave a message. At this moment, Kei Chen wondered if Ling Di was playing on himself. But if you think about it, Ling Di's this is not playing him at all. If you want to calculate him, you will definitely wait for him to pass. Instead of saying the address and disappearing. Something must have happened. Thinking like this, Kei Chen directly searched for a picture of New Jersey on the internet. New Jersey is also known as the Garden State, and the state flower is violet. But to New Yorkers, this is the countryside. Across a river, it's enough to despise New Yorkers. The larger the city, the more severe the chain of contempt. And in places like the United States, racial discrimination is everywhere, and despising a group of hillbillies naturally no one says anything. Every small place that comes out can't wait to make people forget this, only to say that they are New Yorkers. When Kei Chen came to the address given by Ling D, it was already close to chaos. The scene is like a zero-yuan shopping spree near the end of the year. Every year when it comes to the shopping season, it is the carnival season of the little blacks. They have no money, but they also need supplies. What if I can't afford it? Buy directly for 0 yuan. Smash everywhere and grab and run. The scene is so chaotic that no one even dares to care. The situation in New Jersey was similar at this time, with crowds running around and small things mixed in with them. Kei Chen took a closer look and suddenly saw a small machine like a spider. This is Sentinel robot prototype. He remembered what had happened to Lorna. In Talent, Lorna and the others were chased by this kind of gadget. Although it doesn't look strong, there are really few mutants who can deal with these things. No wonder the real Sentinel robot, once made, can directly kill mutants in seconds. In the crowd, he saw at a glance the spirit butterfly that was being dragged by the original form of the Sentinel robot in the darkness. Sentinel robots can identify mutants, not to the point where even mutant genes can be detected in the later stage. Only those who exhibit mutant abilities will be discovered. Once discovered, it is hunted down by the Sentinel robot. Ling D resisted desperately, but there were too many Sentinel robots on her body, and she was soon powerless to resist. At this time, the spirit butterfly was like being tied by 5 flowers, and there were mutant robots everywhere, but they turned from ropes to machinery. Ling Di was a little desperate. She had a premonition that something was going to happen. Especially seeing that Trask had already come out in the defense of a group of people. He just saw her. Trask's height is only up to her belly, and the spirit butterfly is like a giant compared to her, but Trask can control her destiny. Ling D, why are you here? Tasker saw the corner of Ling D's mouth suddenly show a sneer. Of course, he wouldn't think that Ling D was just here to play. She got too close, so she was spotted by the sentry robot. You listen to me, Ling Di said immediately when she saw him. But he was directly interrupted by Trask. Needless to say, your brother Jamie will thank you well. It just so happens that we still lack mutants to experiment. Originally I didn't want to move you because I saw that you were very obedient, but you sent it yourself. Trask said, and the people around him immediately grabbed the spirit butterfly. The department I work with is called Sentinel Secret Service, and you mutants will go to hell sooner or later. Ling Di's face suddenly turned ugly when she heard this, but when she saw the person behind him, she immediately calmed down. Instead, he cursed, "It's you fools who go to hell first." Quote. Hard-mouthed. When Tasker heard this, he wanted to slap Ling D. But embarrassingly, Ling D is too tall, 1 meter 8 tall plus high heels, he can't hit at all. Moreover, voices appeared behind them. "You're going to hell." Kei Chen had unknowingly arrived behind them. Seeing the situation here, and the fact that the Sentinel Special Service had been formed, made him feel very uncomfortable. If the Sentinel robot is created again, Lorna's situation will be dangerous. He doesn't want to stay at home every day, not knowing when a sentry robot or a large swarm will fly by in the sky. If left unchecked, sooner or later these images will become a reality. "What are you?" Trask was startled, turned to look at Kei Chen and said. "Does this bitcha still have mutant accomplices?" But he soon noticed something strange. I saw that a large area of Sentinel robots had been destroyed behind Kei Chen, and other intact Sentinel robots ignored him. "No, you're not a mutant." Trask, of course, does not believe that his manufacturing has failed, and there is only one result. That is, Kei Chen is not a mutant. "Mutants, you are insulting me," Kei Chen said disdainfully, "although mutants are also strong, don't compare with him." Although Ling D was here, he didn't hide it. "Catch him," Trasker shouted. But after he finished shouting, the people in the Sentinel Special Service around him were motionless. They even looked at Trask with their eyes. Trasker had dealt with mutants for many years and immediately knew what was going on. You. He pointed at Kei Chen in horror. "You're not a mutant, why do you have mutant abilities? Can ordinary humans also have mutant abilities?" That, humans probably don't hate mutants. They are afraid of mutants because of envy and envy of mutant abilities. But if ordinary people have this kind of thing, even those high-ranking and rich people, who will hate mutants? "Because I am God." A smile appeared at the corner of Kei Chen's mouth. He looked at Trask in front of him, his eyes indifferent. If it was him in the past, perhaps his treatment of the scene in front of him would not be as radical as it is now, but would choose to deal with it low-key. There is no need to kill these people. In addition to making yourself happy, it is actually not good for things, but may aggravate the mutant crisis. But now, Kei Chen did whatever he wanted, he just wanted to be cool himself. People change slowly, just like at first he likes to date people everywhere, but then he becomes fond of. These changes now, to put it bluntly, is that he has strength. Strong strength allows him to do whatever he wants, and he can conquer a beautiful person like Ling D at will, which makes his heart more and more swollen. With a sharp weapon, the killing heart rises. Although he still knows to hide his full strength, he will definitely not be vague when it is time to strike. No wonder it is said that if there is the strength of the motherland, then is an ancestor. How many people can control the expanding desires in their hearts? Kei Chen did what he wanted to do as he wanted, and he wanted to kill a lot. There was a proud smile on the corners of his mouth, and his eyes flashed red. Zig. As if accompanied by a sinister smile, the hot gaze shot directly towards Trask. Trask didn't react at all, and was directly melted off his head by the ultra-high temperature heat sight, leaving only his body. The mutant actually has another option, which is to not only kill Trask, but also destroy his files. In this way, even if others want to be Sentinel mutants, they can't do it. "You killed him." Ling Di was directly dumbfounded when she saw this scene, and felt Kei Chen's domineering, and she was even more untenable. She also has those Sentinel robots on her, which makes her look very passive. "What other option is there other than killing him?" Kei Chen said casually. Even if he had other options, he didn't want to go into trouble. In the past, he would have been cautious, but now there is no need for this. If there is the simplest way, it will be dealt with directly in the simplest way, and killing people is the simplest. It's just that if you kill one person, you have to kill everyone. After all, he was killed in front of the Sentinel Service. And what is the use of killing only Trask alone if the Sentinel Special Service is not destroyed? His eyes continued to erupt with heat vision, destroying all the sentinel robots on Ling D's body. Ling D even felt the terrifying temperature closely. But if Fan Ketchen didn't control well, she would be finished. It was precisely because she felt Kei Chen's horror that she did not dare to say half a word. Even the heart was murderous. Kill is killed, what can be done? And it's not necessarily going to get worse. The Hellfire Club is still under the control of mutants, and the Black Queen certainly doesn't want society to become unfavorable to mutants. Let's go see this Sentinel Secret Service. Kei Chen felt that he should have brought Lorna. This will give her a sense of belonging. Without his intervention, perhaps Lorna would have fallen into the pursuit of the Sentinel Special Service in the future. Then he fled to Mexico and joined forces with the same group of hapless mutants to rebel against the Sentinel Secret Service. But because of Kei Chen's appearance, Lorna's fate has long changed dramatically. She has long become different than before. Ling D picked up his katana and honestly followed behind Kei Chen. Pedal. Her high-heeled boots stomped loudly on the ground, and countless sentry robots that had turned into pieces were smashed by her. This immediately alarmed the people in the Sentinel Secret Service building. They just arrived at the security checkpoint, and the people inside were ready. Who are you? A large number of Sentinel robots have been destroyed, and this is all money. Compared with other parts, the Sentinel Special Service was originally poor, and it was destroyed so much, it was heart-wrenching to death. Therefore, at this time, they all looked murderous. Even when they saw the own people next to Kei Chen and Ling D, they also held their guns. I have come to lead you to a glorious evolution. Kei Chen said with a smile. Telepathy controlled these ordinary people in an instant. He really didn't understand that Professor X had such strong telepathic abilities that he would be made into a Sentinel robot. If it were him, a single movement of his mind would be able to change Trask's memory and make him extremely supportive of mutants. But instead of doing so, he went straight to the killer. As for why Professor X didn't do this, that's unknown. You don't really think that old man is a good person with good intentions, right? It is very likely that his brain suddenly pumped. Under Kei Chen's control, all the people in the Sentinel Special Service defected together. Of course, the next person who rushes out, he has no control. It's about letting these people kill each other. Tap da da. Someone rushed out, and the people under his control shot directly, looking like a loyal crowd. Seeing this scene, Ling Di was envious. She also has telepathic abilities, but not control. Her talent points seem to be focused on realistic attacks. The Sentinel Secret Service is very high, but from the geographical location, you can see that it has little money. Otherwise, the headquarters would have been directly in New York, not in New Jersey. Although it is only separated by a river, it is clear whether there is money or not. Stark will definitely not set up its headquarters in New Jersey, and S.H.I.E.L.D. will not move its headquarters here. Therefore, the Sentinel Secret Service is effectively an unruly agency. I don't know who is secretly supporting them. There are so many factions in the United States, everyone can do something. It is precisely because the energy is not large enough that Trasker is dissatisfied and wants to let others participate. Through the memories of others, Kei Chen quickly knew where mutants were being held. He took the spirit butterfly directly to the elevator. Of the people in the Sentinel Secret Service who were controlled by him at the beginning, only 4 were still alive. Everything else fell into cannibalism. Not long after they entered the elevator, people from S.H.I.E.L.D. arrived. Coulson came directly to drag all the way. Fortunately it was night and there was no traffic jam. Otherwise, there must be more than that. He stopped the car and rushed in with a group of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. What is this place? Sentinel Secret Service, sir. What kind of institution is this? How I haven't heard. Coulson was flabbergasted, because they are so poor and free range. They immediately rushed in, and saw the dead agent, and the Sentinel robot turned into pieces. The elevator is going down. Hurry up and take the stairs. Coulson rushed inside with a group of people, but was treated as an enemy by the people of the Sentry Special Service and opened fire directly on them. We're the FBI, idiots. Kei Chen and Ling D took the elevator all the way to the underground. The people of the Sentinel Secret Service are very careful and keep the mutants underground. Even if they want to escape, it is difficult. It's just that the people in the Sentinel Special Service are still very weak now, and there are few big fish among the mutants imprisoned. But there is still Kei Chen who is particularly interested. The moment the elevator opened, countless crawling sounds came, which made Ling D's scalp tingle. Without a doubt, another Sentinel robot. Fortunately, the Sentinel Special Service did not have much money, and there were not as many Sentinel robots as when Lorna later escaped, and most of the Sentinel robots were placed in the mansion and only carried with them when they went out to capture mutants. Sentinel robots are very hard, even spirit butterflies are difficult to destroy them all at once, and with numerical superiority, Spirit Butterfly alone will soon be defeated. But in front of the heat vision, these Sentinel robots were instantly melted. Chapter 51. Superman's thermal vision can reach a maximum temperature higher than the core of the sun, melting almost anything in the world. Although Kei Chen's hot vision is the motherland version, Azu is a weakened version of Superman, only slightly weaker than Superman. His intense temperature is still not something that the Sentinel robot can resist. The powerful heat sight swept over, and the Sentinel robot was instantly disintegrated, and then began to melt. Seeing this scene, Ling Di silently followed closely behind Kei Chen. Even if she goes out from here, she will not betray Kei Chen. There is no combat group of the Sentinel Special Service underground, and they are basically scientific researchers. These researchers were immediately startled when they saw Kei Chen and others break in. Don't move. For these people, Kei Chen did not kill, but let people control. Subsequently, he directly used his telepathic ability to tamper with the memories of these people. They won't remember anything about any Sentinel robots anymore. Save me. At this time, a mutant who was tied to an iron bed for research saw Hope and shouted at Kei Chen. This is a white mutant that Kei Chen has not seen. Ling D was very obedient, first asked Kei Chen with his eyes, and got Kei Chen's permission, which saved the mutant. No wonder Trask is reluctant to give up the spirit butterfly, because she is too obedient and obedient. It's like a well-trained. Ahem. Kei Chen was also very satisfied with her service, and with such a subordinate, he must have a lot of face. The white mutant was rescued, immediately thanked Kei Chen, and then ran directly outside. I don't know if I can run out. Kei Chen and Ling Di continued to walk inside. There are not many mutants caught by the Sentinel Special Service, and they are all some mutants whose abilities are not very strong. Kei Chen asked Ling Di to rescue these imprisoned mutants, and he went directly inside. These mutants have an iron ring around their neck and feet that suppresses their mutant abilities. Without the ability to mutate, they naturally have to be slaughtered by others. At this time, Ling Di liberated them with a katana, and a group of people suddenly rioted and began to destroy the place. Kei Chen and Ling Di did not stop them, but continued to walk inside. There are probably dozens of mutants. But they are all some small minions that Kei Chen has never seen. Who are we going to? Ling Di asked. Arrived. They came to the innermost room. This room is closed by an iron door, which is completely different from the wooden doors of other rooms. Obviously, this is a super luxurious single room, just afraid that the mutants inside will escape. Because the mutants inside are strong enough. Kei Chen tried to kick and didn't move. But the people inside also heard the outside. You fools, I won't spare you. A woman's curse came from inside. Kei Chen did not speak, but his eyes turned scarlet, and his hot gaze instantly melted the iron door. Moisture. The iron gate turned into a puddle of molten iron, and it looked very hot, and the spirit butterflies took a step backwards. How high is the temperature of this terrifying heat sight? Ling Di was secretly frightened. Fortunately Kei Chen did not use this move to deal with her. I am afraid that no one's body can withstand this move. After waiting a little for a while, the two stepped into the room. I saw that the most conspicuous thing in the room was a huge iron bed, on which a woman with little dress was tied by iron chains. When I got closer, I could clearly see the bruises on her body that were bound by chains, and her whole person was tied to it and could not move. Naturally I couldn't see who came in. Except for this woman and the bed, the whole room was airtight with a lot of appliances next to it, which made the whole room look like an operating room. In fact, the woman in bed can be worse than that. Because since Kei Chen came in, she has been cursing. You beasts, when I get out of trouble, I will definitely kill you. After scolding for dozens of seconds, she seemed a little tired and stopped. Tired of scolding? Kei Chen asked. Who are you? I haven't heard you. The woman asked with some surprise. My name is Ketchen, and you are Emma Grace Frost. Kei Chen slowly said the name. Because the name has a particularly loud nickname. White Queen of the Hellfire Club. The Black Queen Celine said she was missing, but she didn't expect that she was trapped in this place. But if you think about it, it seems to be true. Because the Sentinel robot later made the three sisters of the cuckoo. The three sisters were originally 5 sisters, but 2 died. 5 people looked exactly the same, and had the ability of Emma the White Queen, telepathy, and could Diamond herself, and the ability of the 3 people combined to become a super brain. Of course, their abilities can only be regarded as a weakened version of the White Queen. Because they were made by the Sentinel Secret Service from Emma's egg cells of the White Queen. That's why Emma the White Queen is here. The people from the Sentinel Secret Service have captured her and want to use her to create obedient mutants. But now it seems that it has not succeeded, otherwise Emma would not have needed to live. Kei Chen, I'm Emma, are you here to save me? Emma the White Queen wanted to raise her head excitedly, but as soon as she moved, she was grabbed by the iron ring and fell down. Don't move, I'll get you out first. Kei Chen did not admire her figure anymore. Immediately destroyed the iron ring that imprisoned her, allowing Emma, the White Queen, who had not moved for a long time, to restore her freedom. As if she had sequelae, the White Queen sat up from the bed, almost forgetting how to walk. Thank you. Looking at the Oriental man in front of her, Emma the White Queen was very grateful. If Kei Chen hadn't come to the rescue, her fate would definitely be tragic. It's a pity to think that her generation of White Queens has fallen to this point. No thanks, I'm also a member of the Hellfire Club. Kei Chen said with a smile and looked at Emma the White Queen generously. At this time, she wore very little, only covering key parts, and her skin was very fair. She didn't care either, and she groaned a little when she heard the Hellfire Club. So it is. On the contrary, Emma had no doubts. Otherwise, she didn't know that Kei Chen was coming to save her for no reason. In fact, during the days she was detained, she did not know who would come to rescue her. She has no friends in the true sense of the word and is cold to anyone, just like her nickname. White Queen. So she was desperate. In front of Kei Chen, Emma the White Queen slowly put on her clothes, ignoring the spirit butterfly on the side. She looked like a subordinate. Emma the White Queen's costume was very cool, no different from just now. Just an extra short white skirt, a pair of white boots, and a white gauze cape. After putting on the clothes, she seemed to be confident and became radiant. Although I would love to have a deep conversation with you, not now. Emma the White Queen said to Kei Chen, and a smile gradually appeared on her face. How deep? Kei Chen asked directly. The White Queen blushed a little, but she just gave Kei Chen a look that you know, and then said, they built a real Sentinel robot, not those little things, that's why they caught me. So it is. Kei Chen said suddenly, it was naturally impossible for the two to communicate deeply in this situation. The spirit butterfly is still on the side. Of course, the White Queen wanted to know him better and learn something from him. It has been some time since the White Queen was arrested, and she urgently needs to know about the outside world. They call that thing a prototype, and as long as there is a steady stream of money, new Sentinel robots can be built from the prototype. If we don't destroy this thing, sooner or later it will be a threat to mutants. Emma the White Queen said to Kei Chen very seriously. No way, she also thought that Kei Chen was a mutant. Kei Chen did not explain, he had reached this step, and it was naturally impossible to retreat. Do you know where? Kei Chen asked. Follow me. Emma stepped on her high heels and walked out. When she crossed the spirit butterfly, she also glanced at the spirit butterfly. Because the spirit butterfly turned out to be taller than her. The White Queen is also 1.7 or 8 meters tall, and it is also terrifying to step on high-heeled boots, but Ling D is 1 point taller than her. And in terms of figure, Ling D is also comparable to her, or even fuller. What the hell did this guy eat and grow up? This perfect body made Emma the White Queen a little jealous. Fortunately, she also has the advantage, that is, her skin is as white as snow, and the spirit butterfly is wheat-colored, and the contrast with her is obvious. However, for Kei Chen, it is completely two kinds of beauty. People must have a pair of eyes that are good at discovering beauty, otherwise wonderful things will always slip away. On the other side, Coulson led the agent down. He shouted that he was the FBI, but the people from the Sentinel Secret Service did not stop, which also made him annoyed and ordered his men to shoot. After finally solving the people of the Sentinel Special Service, they encountered the liberated mutants rushing up, and then there was another entanglement. This also gave Coulson a thorough understanding of what kind of organization this Sentinel Secret Service was. They actually caught so many mutants in private. The honest Coulson was shocked and angry. Even S.H.I.E.L.D. did not treat these mutants, at most just monitored, did not let them do bad things, and made a dangerous assessment for the mutants. It will even absorb some of its own. But it is not as frustrating as the Sentinel Special Service, directly using mutants for human experiments, and completely eliminating this group. Coulson could only try not to hurt the mutants as much as possible, and then continued down. When he saw the situation here, his expression was very serious. This organization must cease to exist. Hands up. Coulson saw a group of scientists and immediately shouted. The scientists panicked. They all looked a little dazed, looking at each other. Can anyone tell me about the situation here? Coulson shouted into a group of white coats. However, everyone looked at him blankly. What are we doing here? We ourselves want to know. Quote. Quote question mark quote. Coulson looked at their situation as if it was fake, and immediately realized something. They seem to have a problem with their memory and have forgotten what they were doing. And the machines and everything have been destroyed, and the research materials do not know whether they are there or not. Psychic ability. Could it be that the X-Men found out about this place and came to destroy it? Coulson had a little headache and immediately told Nick Fury about the situation here, but he still took people down. The X-Men are still very talkative, if it's really that group of people. I'm afraid that other mutant organizations, let them see the situation here, they will definitely be angry. The White Queen swayed and walked in front, and the spider-shaped sentinel robots along the way were solved by 3 people. The spider-shaped sentry robot poses no threat to the White Queen, but her abilities cannot deal with the sentry robot. Because the enemy is a robot, her telepathic ability is equivalent to being directly destroyed. She can only turn herself into a diamond, diamondized. She is indestructible, nothing can break the defense. This made Kei Chen stare for a while. The diamondized White Queen is another landscape, full of sparkling, just a little not like a person. The more you follow the White Queen, the more spider sentinel robots there are. And it was extremely crazy, feeling the 2 mutants of the White Queen and the spirit butterfly, like a light in the night, facing them one after another. Kei Chen opened his hotline of sight and swept casually, and he almost destroyed this place. It's time to, said Emma, who was diamond-dressed. Her white veil-like cloak could not hide anything at all, only her reflective body could be seen. I saw a robot in front of the White Queen that had not been activated. Its whole body is metallized, and it turns out to be a bit like Asgard's destroyer armor. This is the Sentinel robot prototype, Emma the White Queen said fearfully. She was caught by this thing in the first place, and if Kei Chen hadn't come to save her, she would have become a fertility machine. These people actually want to make want to make her clones. If this group of people is really successful, the mutant race will be in jeopardy. Emma, the White Queen, knows the horror of psychic abilities, and if he gives this ability to someone who has no bottom line, he can do whatever he wants in most parts of the world. The people in the Sentinel Special Service are a group of guys without a bottom line. At this time, the original form of the Sentinel robot sensed the mutant gene on the White Queen and was immediately activated. Zig. It is like being connected to electricity, and its eyes are red electronic eyes, which can instantly distinguish mutant genes in the human body, and lock Emma, the White Queen, in an instant. The metal all over its body is silver, and the whole body is made of metal, which is very hard in itself. If there is enough money to let the Sentinel Secret Service desperately create these guys, the mutant race is definitely not an opponent. Phew. The activated prototype Sentinel grabbed directly towards the White Queen. The prototype Sentinel was fast and hit the White Queen in an instant. Boom. Its tough claws hit the diamondized body of the White Queen, making a collision sound, and the White Queen was not injured. But she also doesn't fight in close combat, so if she is allowed to fight alone, she is obviously not a match for the prototype Sentinel. Ling D immediately struck at Kei Chen's signal, and her transformation katana hit the prototype Sentinel, leaving only a little mark on it, but had successfully broken through the defense. The prototype sentinel had no emotion, and immediately flew up again and shot at the two mutants. After looking at it, Kei Chen shook his head. This prototype sentinel is not strong. The reason why he was able to catch the White Queen was because he completely restrained the White Queen's ability. The White Queen's diamondization is self-protecting, and her telepathy is a powerful force, but the prototype sentinel is a robot, which causes the White Queen, who cannot fight closely, to be beaten. He was eventually captured. This kind of prototype sentinel, if you let the spirit butterfly fight alone, you can defeat it, because at this time the spirit butterfly has already gained the upper hand. In the face of powerful mutants, this archetypal sentinel is clearly no opponent. Kei Chen looked at it. Its ability is probably to fly, detect mutants, have great strength and extremely fast speed, and there is nothing else. This is the first type of sentinel robot, and in the reverse future, the sentinel robot is powerful, completely because of the witch. The witch's mutant ability is to imitate others when her genes are possessed by the sentinel robot. It becomes invincible. The second form of the sentinel robot can copy mutant abilities at will, which is brought by the witch. But that's not enough to fear. The horror is that the sentinel robot can freely share the copied mutant ability with all the sentinel robot. And they also have extremely high intelligence, not mentally retarded robots. For example, in the face of the Iceman, the sentinel robot can instantly copy the Iceman's abilities, but will use the Burning Man's abilities against him. At that point, the sentinel robot will be completely beyond the existence of mutants. Professor X will be defeated. All mutant abilities come together, which mutant is the opponent. Moreover, there is no metal in the body of the future sentinel robot, and even Magneto has nothing to do with them. But now the prototype sentinel does not have these, only the most basic things. So the witch is really loved and hated. Ling D suppressed the sentinel robot and directly cut off the sentry robot's arm with a knife. Although she herself was shot away by the sentry robot, she was already on the verge of victory. It's not that strong. Ling D stuck his katana on the ground to stabilize his body and spoke. The White Queen can only be beaten. Someone is coming. At this time, Kei Chen heard a voice behind him and immediately looked at the sentinel robot. His eyes became red, and the intense heat gaze slammed directly into the head of the sentry robot. The sentinel robot is still made of metal, and even Lorna can control it at will. The moment the metal received a strong hot gaze, it was melted into a puddle of molten iron. And Kei Chen did not stop. The heat emitted from his eyes became hotter and warmer. He continued downwards, wanting to turn the entire prototype of the sentinel robot into a puddle of molten iron, plus all the files destroyed, which was enough to make the sentinel robot disappear into the world. But this strong temperature made Ling D feel like she was going to be burned in an instant, and the clothes on her body felt even more hot. The White Queen is much better than her, but she protects her clothes, and she doesn't feel much in herself. The White Queen's diamondization can resist the power of sunspots, and unless Kei Chen uses hot vision at her with all his strength, he can't hurt her by Yu Wei. But even so, the White Queen who looked at the scene was stunned. Kei Chen's ability turned out to be so strong. The prototype of the sentinel robot was destroyed by him in an instant, leaving not even a single residue, only a pool of hot molten iron. This temperature is at least thousands of degrees, constantly moored on the ground, and a little fire jumps. The White Queen lifted her diamondization and suddenly felt the scalding temperature. Her gaze towards Kei Chen suddenly became different again. Kei Chen's heat vision can actually adjust the temperature, and it can reach such a strong level, which is stronger than the X-Men's laser eye. She looked at Kei Chen and just wanted to speak, and a group of people ran behind her. Hands up, ladies and gentlemen. The honest Coulson gasped, holding the gun firmly in his hand and pointing it at the three. And Ling D just conjured a dart and knocked the gun in his hand to the ground. Sure enough, it's a mutant. Coulson was shocked in his heart, looked at the man in the middle, and suddenly felt familiar. Lay down your arms. He said this to the shield agent behind him. The agents glanced at each other and immediately lowered their weapons, although they didn't know why Coulson gave up like this. Sir, have we met somewhere? Coulson's memory is very good, and the more he thinks about it, the more familiar he is when he sees Ketchen's back. So, he asked directly. Kei Chen put his hands in his trouser pockets, turned around very dashingly, he looked at Coulson, who was already a little mature in front of him, and said lightly, "Long time no see, new arrival." You. Coulson looked at Kei Chen and his eyes widened. The figure in his memory and the figure in front of him finally coincided, no wonder he felt familiar. 7 years ago, it was his first mission with Nick Fury, and he remembers that mission was the escape of the Black Widow family, who is now joining S.H.I.E.L.D. Isn't this person in front of him the godfather of Black Widow Natasha? Long time no see, sir. Coulson's mental quality was good, and he took a deep breath and finally calmed down. At that time, he and Nick Fury didn't care about Kei Chen, maybe Nick Fury cared, but it didn't matter to him. At least he really didn't think there was a problem, and now it seemed that Kei Chen was the one hiding behind the scenes. Also, I'm not new to the city. At this time, he found that Kei Chen was still as young as he was then, and it seemed that the years could not leave a trace on him. 7 years have passed, and he is much older than when he joined S.H.I.E.L.D., but Kei Chen has not changed at all. Are you going to stop me? Kei Chen looked at him and asked. Nope, Coulson said deeply when he heard this. Natasha is now from S.H.I.E.L.D., and Kei Chen is her godfather after all. Coulson, who is proficient in human affairs, will not embarrass people on the spot. Hearing Coulson's words, Kei Chen glanced at him, so he stopped the spirit butterfly and the White Queen next to him. The White Queen looked at him in surprise. When was it? Then in the blink of an eye, they disappeared in place. Seeing them leave, Coulson was shocked. Mutant abilities. He subconsciously thought that Kei Chen was also a mutant. But after seeing a puddle of molten iron on the ground, he immediately felt wrong. The abilities of mutants are generally very single, and although he has never seen the White Queen and Spirit Butterfly around Kei Chen, they are recorded by S.H.I.E.L.D. If Kei Chen is a mutant, it must be the strongest mutant. Sir, all S.H.I.E.L.D. agents looked at him. Search here and see what's left. Coulson immediately ordered, knowing that the pool of molten iron was probably the Sentinel robot. Unfortunately, the Sentinel robot was completely destroyed. If this kind of thing is obtained by anyone, it is impossible to easily destroy it. Then he came to the site alone and immediately reported the news to Nick Fury. Sir, I saw someone I couldn't have imagined. When Coulson told Nick Fury about this, Nick Fury suddenly fell silent. At that time, he naturally suspected Kei Chen, but he didn't care. I just didn't expect that Kei Chen was so mysterious. He didn't even think that Kei Chen was still the one who took Captain Marvel away, and let him leave an empty document. After a moment of silence, Nick Fury said, no one should disclose this matter, so that everyone is not allowed to mention it, especially not let Natasha know. I see, Coulson said without hesitation when he heard this. Although he didn't know why Nick Fury did it. On the roof of a building in New York, Kei Chen and the three instantly appeared here. Ling D looked at it and recognized that this was the place where he surrendered. You still have this ability. The White Queen was a little surprised when she saw it, and Kei Chen really gave her a lot of surprises, which made her feel a little restless in her heart. At that time, the Hellfire Club also had mutants with the ability to move. Where are you going next? Kei Chen did not let go of her, but the White Queen herself escaped from his arms. Now is not the time for in-depth communication. I will go to the Hellfire Club first, and when you have time, you can come to me. The White Queen finally came out of it, and naturally there were things to do. Although she would love to release some stress. Then I'll find you in a few days. Kei Chen understood in his heart and made an agreement with the White Queen. The White Queen immediately stopped hesitating and couldn't wait to return to the Hellfire Club. Emma, the White Queen, grew up in a wealthy merchant family, and like Erica, she longed for everything power and money bring. Hellfire Club, these two things are available, otherwise she would not become the White Queen of the Hellfire Club. Seeing her back leaving, Kei Chen suddenly threw out the lasso of truth to the other side. Ling D, who was about to leave secretly, was suddenly caught by the lasso of truth. Her whole person was dragged to the ground by the lasso of truth and dragged all the way to Kei Chen. I don't seem to let you go. Kei Chen grabbed Ling D's chin and said. Ah, Ling Di suddenly exclaimed. Kei Chen confirmed this time. I need you to do things for me and never leave me. He collected his mind and said, pinching Ling D's chin and asking. Would you like to be my man? Ling Di wanted to refuse when she heard this, but the truth in her heart made her feel uncomfortable. Under the burning effect of the lasso of Shingura, Ling Di finally said, yes, sir. Quote. She has long been interested in Kei Chen. Neither Apocalypse nor Trask could conquer her, but Kei Chen had conquered her long ago. Call me master, Kei Chen said with an evil smile. Although Ling Di didn't want to say it, the lasso of truth directly made her say what she thought. Yes, Lord, person. Quote, Ling Di felt like she was going to die socially. She obviously didn't want to say that, but the lasso of truth directly made her tell the truth in her heart. This rope is really the devil. As your reward, let's go get your brother Jamie out. Kei Chen released the lasso of the mantra, and then grabbed Ling Di's waist and directly activated the teleportation ability. Teleportation can be used within the 9 realms, as long as he knows that place. The 9 realms refer to the 9 realms of Earth, including Asgard, Warnerheim, and Earth. It is rumored that there were once 10 realms, but one realm has disappeared. He found in Trask's mind where Jamie was being held. Jamie is the most special one in the spirit butterfly family, because he has no ability, he is an ordinary person. And his sister Elizabeth is a spirit butterfly, and his younger brother Brian is the famous English captain. The two appear at the place where Jamie is being held, where only one person is guarding him, and it looks like he is in a dungeon. Seeing his brother's tragic situation, Ling D immediately pulled out his katana and slashed at the people guarding him. A few people didn't stay here long. Kei Chen directly held Ling D with one hand and Jamie with the other, and led him to Ling Di's residence. Jamie, Elizabeth. At this time, the two finally had time to talk, and Jamie looked at Kei Chen and asked, this is? Quote, it's mine, benefactor. In the end, Ling Di still didn't say those two shameful words, and continued education was needed. Jamie seemed to understand something. He always felt that his sister had a somewhat unusual relationship with the Oriental man in front of him. But everyone was an adult, and he didn't say much. And because it is an ordinary person's relationship, he looks much older than Ling Di, and Ling Di is like a frozen age, which is related to her mutant ability. Ling Di let him rest here, while he left with Kei Chen. People have to learn to be grateful, and if others help you, they naturally have to repay them. And the spirit butterfly had nothing to reward, so she could only promise with her body. Of course, this is also the case when she was conquered by Kei Chen earlier. If she didn't like Kei Chen, she would definitely say that she would be a cow and a horse in her next life. So don't believe a woman's reluctance. Kei Chen took her to the luxury hotel where he and Erica frequented, and directly opened the room. The moment he entered the door, the lasso of truth directly bound the spirit butterfly as he wished. Ling Di looked at Kei Chen uneasily. Call me what? Kei Chen asked. Lord, Master. Ling Di was instantly thrown onto the sofa by the lasso of truth after speaking. The werewolf bloodline that had been suppressed in Kei Chen's body for a long time was out of control at this moment. At this time, the moon was dark and the wind was high, and the bright moon shone on him from the floor-to-ceiling windows, stimulating the energy in his body. A taxi stopped in front of the Hellfire Club. Even though it's late at night, there are still many members who drink and have fun here. Wearing masks, they still care more about the image. Of course, it is more likely that they have a weak heart. Emma the White Queen got off the taxi, and immediately a waiter greeted her. Is there an appointment? The waiter immediately asked. You don't know me. Emma the White Queen immediately grabbed him by the collar and asked. No, I don't know. The waiter was a little frightened, but thinking that behind him was the Hellfire Club, and immediately calmed down again. It's not that no one wanted to get in trouble before, but the end was undoubtedly miserable. For your sake, I'll spare you this time, Emma said coldly. Remember, I am the White Queen. She threw the waiter out and walked into the club in her white high-heeled boots. No one dared to stop her anymore, and the old man recognized her identity. I didn't expect that the White Queen had disappeared for so long and reappeared. Countless lights stared at Emma, which meant a lot more, but she didn't care. As the White Queen of the Hellfire Club, countless people beat her up every day, but no one ever got her hands. Without the need for a maid to lead the way, she walked all the way to the depths of the club, down the revolving stone staircase to the underground. The torches on the rock wall light up the place, but the space is too large, the light is scattered and it looks very dim, and the calligraphy and paintings hanging on the wall also have an eerie feeling. Emma the White Queen walked over, and the sound of high-heeled boots echoed in the underground space. As soon as she came, she saw that the Black Queen Celine was grabbing an unlucky egg, and she was absorbing the life of this unlucky egg. Celine lived for so many years because she could absorb the life force of others to support herself. The unlucky egg she sucked away all life will die instantly and turn into dust. At this time, Celine's face flashed with black light, and when the life of the unlucky egg disappeared, it turned into powder in an instant, and the boom exploded. Life is always so wonderful, don't you say? Celine reluctantly shook his palm, as if the palm still held the power of life. I don't want to live like you. Emma, the White Queen, was a little disdainful. That's because you don't need to, your ability can give you a long life. Celine sneered and said, of course she envied this ability, but there was nothing wrong with being able to live forever. Emma's diamondization keeps her from aging, just like the witch. I didn't expect you to be alive. Then, Celine looked at Emma the White Queen with playful eyes. Although there is no grudge between the two women, they obviously do not deal with it. After all, the same gender repels each other, and the opposite gender attracts each other. HMPH, K-Chen saved me. Emma the White Queen snorted coldly. She knew that Celine would not save her, because if Celine disappeared, she would not care. K-Chen. Celine's eyes flickered. She knew that K-Chen was very special because K-Chen had the breath of Phoenix power on his body. Celine remembered the feeling of being crushed by the Black Phoenix, and it was really strange that K-Chen could leave such a strong aura of Phoenix power. Yes, so I propose to make him the White King of the Hellfire Club. Emma the White Queen said coldly. Her tone was to tell the Black Queen Celine about it, and Celine didn't say anything. Because it was useless for her to refuse. Now the Hellfire Club only has the Black Queen and the White Queen, and the two of them are only a draw. The core group of the Hellfire Club is named after chess pieces. The most powerful, of course, are the Black and White Kings and Queens. Strictly speaking, the power of the two is the same, so if Emma wants K-Chen to become the White King, she can decide, as long as the members support. But it's not that hard. The Black Emperor took a sip of the bloody wine on the table, not knowing what he was thinking. 3 days later, K-Chen and Ling Di left the hotel. Ling Di's body is relatively flexible. Unlike an acquired ninja like Erika, she is congenital and has exercised since childhood. This is a completely new version, a completely different way of playing. Naturally let him have a good time. No wonder Wonder Woman Diana likes to use a mantra lasso. It is indeed fun, especially if you can use it as you like K-Chen. Of course, this also has drawbacks, that is, K-Chen feels as if his waist has been cut. It's a little unsteady to walk. However, Ling Di is no better. K-Chen's strength is also very strong, and when both of them are strong enemies, the result is only 2 defeats. The wings of the spirit butterfly were all broken. She can only walk with her arms open now. But women recover faster than men, which is a biological difference. After the two got into the car, Ling Di was immediately no different, and K-Chen still needed time to recover, especially when he felt that there was some emptiness in his body, which was not easy to eliminate. The driver smiled at K-Chen, and the car quickly sent them to the Hellfire Club. Ling Di helped K-Chen get out of the car and entered the Hellfire Club under the guidance of the waiter. You're finally here. When they entered a private room, they saw Emma the White Queen sitting inside waiting for them. Emma the White Queen's expression was a little mournful, as if to say that K-Chen released her pigeons. After finishing things, she wanted to find K-Chen to vent, but he didn't come for a few days. Seeing what it is like this, where do you not know what happened? Ling Butterfly looked cold and didn't say a word, but I didn't expect it to be so sullen. Ahem, there is a powerful goblin who needs to be subdued, and it took some time. K-Chen said with a straight face, descending demons and demons is a matter of course for a righteous person like him. The White Queen naturally didn't understand, but just teased, I hope you still have strength. K-Chen wanted to refuse, he felt that he needed to recuperate. But the White Queen directly, no, you don't need to. I need your help with something. K-Chen simply said directly, it should be a transaction. The puzzled White Queen looked at him and signaled him to continue with her eyes. Ling Di can stay and help you with things. K-Chen took a look at Ling Di. Under the coercion of his eyes, Ling Di immediately said decisively, the master will do whatever I want me to do. Quote, Master, Emma the White Queen glanced at the two, and the corners of her mouth twitched a little. But she didn't say much. She has seen this kind of thing a lot, and it can indeed add a little fun to life. Of course you can. At the Hellfire Club, you can do whatever you want. Emma looked at Kei Chen and said, with a little deep meaning. Emma, the White Queen, soon arranged for someone to bring Spirit Butterfly down to register and make her a member of the club. In this circular box, only Kei Chen and Emma were suddenly left. The atmosphere of the scene was suddenly a little wrong. Emma, the White Queen, directly pushed Kei Chen on the sofa, and one foot was directly next to her wearing white high-heeled boots. She is like a queen of kings looking down on her own courtiers. Are you okay? I heard Emma the White Queen ask. Of course, Kei Chen said with a straight face. Can a man say no? Even if his waist is about to break, he can't say nothing. Didn't this make the White Queen look down on herself? Okay then. The White Queen immediately sat down on him and pressed her hand behind the sofa. I like to be on top. Ling D didn't come back after being taken to register, and I don't know what Emma arranged to do. Anyway, it won't disturb the two. Kei Chen had already left Ling Di behind. One thing is to say, he doesn't like strong women, especially the White Queen and the Black Queen, who have a queen-like temperament. This will make him very passive. But it's still nice to experience a passive feeling from time to time. It's just that this feeling is like picking your nose, and it is definitely the nostrils that are comfortable, not the fingers. Especially Emma is still very crazy, as if she hasn't moved for decades. When the two left the box, Emma had already recovered her iceberg state, but her face was a little red. Follow me, I have good news for you. Emma took his arm and led Kei Chen to the deepest part of the club. I just saw Ling D standing here in the corridor. I let Ling D follow me. Emma said to Kei Chen. Kei Chen naturally didn't care. Ling D is like a pawn for him. Let her help monitor the behemoth of the Hellfire Club, and recall it when needed. Of course, Ling Di herself was a little unwilling, but she had been completely conquered by Kei Chen, and she did not dare to resist in the slightest. The thought of resistance flashed in her heart, as if there was a lasso of mantra tied to her body. The lasso of mantra, which was like a devil's thing, left a deep impression on her, as if it was engraved on her soul. You wait here. The White Queen directly instructed the Spirit Butterfly, and the identities of the two were instantly different, but the Spirit Butterfly did not dare to say no. She could only honestly stop and stand outside the door and wait. This time, the White Queen did not take Kei Chen underground. Instead, he came to a corridor inside, where there was not a single maid, and outsiders were not allowed to approach. There are many black doors, with no words on them, but chess symbols. The White King, the White Queen, the Black King and the Black Queen, and the deepest door, without any symbol on it, were tightly closed. Emma, the White Queen, turned to him and said, "From now on, you will be the White King of the Hellfire Club. I got the members to agree to this matter when you didn't come." Emma's face was full of smiles, as if to say, how are you going to reward me? Kei Chen saw her smile and only felt that his legs were soft. Muggle, hurry up and give me the body of steel, or I won't be able to withstand it. Thinking like this in his heart, Kei Chen was still a little moved. He didn't expect that the White Queen would propose to make him the White King of the Hellfire Club, and he also got those members done. For such a good thing, he naturally will not refuse. Although the Hellfire Club is not as powerful as Hydra, it is also an organization that has existed for 200 years. And it absorbs elites everywhere, all of them are top figures. With this layer of identity, Kei Chen can naturally call for wind and rain even more. Of course, this identity is like Hydra, which cannot be said in the open, but uses the energy of the organization to do something. Thank you, Kei Chen said. Seeing that he agreed, Emma led him into the room belonging to the White King. The whole arrangement is full of white, like a dream home, the most important of which is, of course, the stacks of documents. Various materials collected by the Hellfire Club over 200 years, as well as information about each member. Many of these are hidden in the world, and if they flow into the outside world, I am afraid they will cause a great sensation. As the White King of the Hellfire Club, you have tens of millions of dollars in salary every year, and you can also use various means to obtain your own assets. Emma the White Queen said to Kei Chen about the benefits of being the White King. A penny is difficult for a good man, even a superhero cannot do without money. Banknote ability is sometimes even more important than superpower. In the world of capital, controlling capital is equivalent to controlling the world. This is why Hydra can exist for thousands of years. The Council of Nine will always be at the top of society, and Hydra will not be able to decline. What's the use of knocking out a couple of bases? It's like Hydra's famous saying, cut off one head and grow two. It's just a little bit of money. The reason why the Black Queen and White Queen are so arrogant as mutants is because they control the Hellfire Club. Otherwise, everyone would have shouted and beaten like other mutants. After all, for capitalists, lip service is never as important as business in their hearts. Kei Chen felt the benefits of the Hellfire Club, that is, it could make his social status more obvious. Anyone who is a member of the Hellfire Club will know him. Of course, the premise is that he reveals his identity. Although he was rich before, he was at most like an invisible rich man. If you have money and no status, others may not see you, and organizations like S.H.I.E.L.D. can move you at will. But having money and status is different. Just like Tony Stark, whoever wants to move him must first fight with him, and it is impossible to take him down casually. However, the White King and White Queen are not the top of the Hellfire Club. Emma the White Queen looked at Kei Chen and said ambitiously. She was a little shy when she said these two terms. Everyone knows that the White King and the White Queen are a couple, just like the position in chess. This is also her selfish intention, wanting to let outsiders know that Kei Chen is hers. Oh, Kei Chen wondered. The core personnel of the Hellfire Club are named after chess pieces. Emma smiled and said, but in the chess world, there is such a existence. People call this existence the Supreme King. Supreme King. Interesting. Kei Chen touched his chin and said, and Emma, the White Queen, pushed him to the sofa and sat on his right leg. No one has ever been a Supreme King in the history of the club. Do you want to become the Supreme King? The White Queen looked at Kei Chen with charm and asked. Kei Chen left the Hellfire Club satisfied. He did not summon the other members, and after becoming the White King, the other members could become his assistants. In fact, in addition to the White King, White Queen and Black Queen, the Hellfire Club also has members of the titles of Bishop, Che, etc. These members are higher hierarchical than those without titles, and the hierarchy progresses like chess. When the White King took office, the members below naturally wanted to come to visit, but Kei Chen refused this. When he left, he also saw the Black Queen, who squinted at him as if he felt threatened. Kei Chen didn't care about her. The so-called oldest mutants, no matter how strong their strength is, they are only mutants, unless they have external forces like Jean. Although the mutant ability of Qin itself is also very powerful, it is obviously the power of the Phoenix that makes her invincible. As long as Kei Chen's strength is stronger, the so-called Black Queen can only be as docile as a kitten in front of him. And the way to become the Supreme King is also very simple. Among the Black King, White King, Black Queen and White Queen, who is the last most powerful person is the Supreme King. Although it is just a title without any bonuses, it is enough to make many people flock to it. Now the Hellfire Club lacks the Black King, and there are originally only two people, the Black Queen and the White Queen, and they can barely maintain their balance. Later, the White Queen disappeared, resulting in the Black Queen's family being alone and reaching the peak of her power. But unexpectedly, the White Queen returned, and also brought a White King, and the delicate balance was naturally broken. That is, the Black Queen did not know that Kei Chen and Emma's ambitions were so great. As soon as he became the White King, he wanted to become the Supreme King, and Emma was willing to support him. Kei Chen returned to his room with an instant, lay directly on the bed and fell asleep. I haven't closed my eyes properly for a few days, and even Superman can't stand it. There is no way. There are always people who test old cadres with this kind of thing. Which old cadre can withstand such a test? After sleeping until it was dark, Kei Chen could be regarded as recovering somewhat. Coming downstairs, Lorna and Paige were not surprised to see him return. It seemed that they had known for a long time. Kei Chen disappeared this time, and he still called them in the middle. So they weren't very worried. What are you doing? Didn't come back for days. Quote. Lorna and Paige knew he had the ability to teleport, and it was only a matter of a split second to get home. Just wondering what exactly was holding him back. Kei Chen naturally did not say that there were goblins, but just said about the sentinel robot. When they knew that Kei Chen was going to solve the sentinel robot, Lorna and Paige were really fascinated. Women like to listen to stories. If it is romantic or a story about love, it is better. As long as they do not listen, they will definitely not leave. Kei Chen had chased girls in this way before, and his ability to tell stories was naturally pure, making them listen as if they were in the scene. If it is a love story, I am afraid that they will all throw themselves into arms directly. Lorna clenched her fists when she heard this. This kind of thing should call me to go. Which of these robots is my opponent? Quote. It's a hurry, Kei Chen said with a smile. This bunch of guys, what the hell did we mutants do? I can't wait to wipe out our mutants. Lorna was so angry that she wanted to kill all those guys. But she didn't have to do that anymore, because S.H.I.E.L.D. wouldn't give them good fruit to eat. They shot at S.H.I.E.L.D., and with S.H.I.E.L.D.'s retributive personality, they will definitely not give up. There are always ambitious people like this. Paige soothed Lorna when she heard this. She has seen this kind of thing a lot, and even in her time, discrimination against women was extremely serious. From work to life, women were powerless in all aspects. She was naturally able to understand discrimination against mutants. To put it bluntly, it's still power. This is poison. Kei Chen laughed, but did not tell the truth. The truth is that Jean Grey's blackening has made many people feel shocked and even afraid. Therefore, someone secretly cooperated with Trask to form the Sentinel Special Service. But secret cooperation funds are necessarily insufficient, so it has not been scaled. This kind of thing can't be said, otherwise Lorna doesn't like Jean in the first place, and I'm afraid it will be even more embarrassing to say it. After solving the matter of the Sentinel robot, Kei Chen had nothing to do. He was not in a hurry about the Hellfire Club scheme. There is a saying that fists are power, and clenching fists is shaking power, which means that if the strength is strong enough, it will have strong power, and the two complement each other. At the Hellfire Club, that's obvious. If his strength is enough to crush the Black Queen, then does the Black Queen dare to say half a word? As long as the power is enough, he will naturally become the Supreme King. The rest of the leisure time naturally flies by. Kei Chen's daily life also has one more thing, that is, he will go to the Hellfire Club from time to time. The White Queen and Spirit Butterfly were both in a state of waiting to be fed, and he naturally couldn't relax. But what he didn't expect was that S.H.I.E.L.D. didn't come to him, as if he had forgotten about it. This is just right for Kei Chen. Otherwise, it would be a trouble to be targeted by Hydra. Kei Chen's world has become a two-point line, circulating between home and the Hellfire Club, and his body is worse day by day. Sometimes Jean would come to talk to him, but the two did nothing out of the ordinary, as if they were true friends. The time has also quietly come to the new Chinese New Year's Eve in 2002. As usual, Tony Stark sent another invitation to the party. Kei Chen and Tony met several times in the Hellfire Club, and when they learned that Kei Chen had become the White King of the Hellfire Club, Tony finally faced him squarely and regarded Kei Chen as a real friend. Sometimes that's the case, only when you get to the same class, you can really become friends. Otherwise, no matter how affectionate he is just a superficial brother. But it's okay to be Tony's friend. This guy's personality is like this, it's easy to make people who know him feel helpless and want to beat him up. Since they are real friends, Kei Chen naturally will not refuse Tony's invitation. What's more, he hadn't seen Pepper for another year. With this idea, Kei Chen naturally wanted to maintain a relationship. After all, Xiao Beisheng is newly married, and the sense of expectation of meeting once a year is more, and if you see it every day, you may have been tired of it long ago. In this way, Kei Chen drove out in his old car. He never changed the car, but fortunately he was lucky that the old car never broke. Just as he arrived in Queens, the car was stopped by a mature woman holding a baby. Kei Chen immediately braked sharply. This woman is really desperate. She is still holding a baby in her arms. If it weren't for Kei Chen's quick eyes, this one would have killed two people directly. Kei Chen has not killed people, but he is not a mad person, and he does not kill innocents. So he got out of the car a little angrily and asked, "What do you want to do?" "Lady." Although the woman in front of him was beautiful and mature, he was still a little angry. What is the difference between this and touching porcelain? I'm sorry, sir, I can't get a taxi, so I chose this method. The woman holding the baby immediately apologized with an embarrassed look. Seeing her sincere appearance, Kei Chen's anger also dissipated a lot. Where do you want to go? Kei Chen asked. It's New Year's coming soon, and I'm going to take him home, sir. The woman said with a smile on her face. Get in the car. Kei Chen sighed and let her get into the co-pilot. Thank you. The woman is about 30 years old, it is the mature style, with long silky hair and a beautiful body. It's just that the style of acting is a little ruthless. Kei Chen watched the woman fasten her seatbelt, and suddenly said, even if you don't think about yourself, you have to think about your own children, don't do such a dangerous thing next time. Thank you, sir, I also want to go home early. Also, it's not my child, it's my brother's, it's just that they. The woman said, looking a little gloomy. The child in her arms was only about 1 or 2 years old, and she had already encountered such a big accident, and Kei Chen was also a little silent. Fortunately, the child is still young and does not know this, but just stares everywhere with big eyes. Seeing that the atmosphere was a little dull, Kei Chen immediately said, I don't know your name yet, my name is Kei Chen. Quote. Just call me May, my name is May Parker. May smiled at Kei Chen. Kei Chen's approach was still very gentlemanly, although he was a little angry at first, but it was human nature. Hearing this, Kei Chen was suddenly a little stunned. May Parker, he immediately asked, then what's the name of this cute little guy? Peter Parker, that's the name his parents gave him. May immediately replied, he is indeed very cute. Kei Chen didn't expect to meet the famous Aunt May. It's just that the current Aunt May is extremely young, at a gorgeous age, her appearance and figure are superior, but she has Peter's oil bottle. Kei Chen, who had justice in mind, naturally couldn't watch the delicate flowers wither like this. You know, when Peter grew up, Aunt May is in her 50s, but she can still charm a person, which shows that her beauty is unmatched. Therefore, he smiled and asked, in such a hurry to go home, there are still people waiting at home. No, it's just me and Peter, and I want to take him back to eat and then come out to watch the fireworks. May said with a smile, and as the topic opened, the two gradually became acquainted. The young Mei Chao smiled, Jiu Panshengwei, and her facial features were very three-dimensional. It happened that at this time there was a traffic jam in New York, and Kei Chen also drove slowly, and he learned a lot about May's past. May in this world has worked hard since she was a child, and she has also worked hard after entering society, and she has not yet married a partner yet. Coupled with Peter Parker's tow oil bottle, young May has a child, and it is even more difficult to get married. No wonder the Spider-Man of this world asked Aunt May to say the phrase, the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. Because he doesn't have an uncle. It seems that among the countless multiverses, it is May and Peter who are more deeply related. This is also normal. The meaning of Uncle Peter's existence seems to be just to say the phrase, the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility, and then you can go and lie down. Even with Peter's oil bottle, the two chatted more and more tacitly. Everyone knows that the other is interesting. May also lives in Queens, just in the Forest Hills. Queens is the largest borough in New York, otherwise she wouldn't want to stop a car. But May is now very glad for this bold decision, otherwise how could she recognize a high-quality man like Kei Chen? At this moment, she wanted to make this street infinitely far away, then she could chat with Kei Chen forever. But this is just a luxury, even if Kei Chen drove slowly, he still sent May home. May felt a sense of loss in her heart for a moment, but quickly opened the door and got out. Kei Chen also parked the car and got down. Thank you. May held Peter with one hand and stretched out the other hand to shake hands with Kei Chen to thank him. Kei Chen directly held her hand, unwilling to let go for a while. May tried to pull it out, but she gave up when she couldn't pull it out, and the two soon seemed to be holding hands. Wow! At this time, Peter Parker in May's arms cried. Oh, it looks like little Peter is hungry. May was suddenly a little busy. She is also taking a child for the first time and is still getting used to it. I have to go up first, would you like to come up and sit down? May looked at Kei Chen and hesitated, and then sent out an invitation. She herself didn't even know what she was thinking. Half wanted Kei Chen to go up, and half wanted Kei Chen to refuse. Americans generally do not invite easily, and when she opens her mouth, she is telling the truth, so she has already made a choice in her heart. Kei Chen's hand was on the car door, and Mei was instantly a little lost. But I saw Kei Chen lock the door and said, "Of course, I happen to be alone, and I don't want to go to a boring party." Hearing his words, Mei's mood instantly rose from hell to heaven, and she brought Kei Chen to the door with a smile on her face. Kei Chen could only silently apologize to Little Pepper in his heart. But he still prefers to get along with Mei. Maybe it's because Pepper is more obsessed with work, or maybe it's because the meat that catches your mouth doesn't have the aroma in the bowl. However, Kei Chen did prefer Mei. Mei lives in a bachelor apartment, her family is not rich, and she can have everything she has now because of her own hard work. In the past, I worked hard, and naturally I had no intention of falling in love or anything. Until she met Kei Chen, she didn't know what it was like to be heartbeat. It's like at an adolescent dance, seeing teenagers casually showing themselves off stage. The first time a strange man came to the house, Mei's face was a little blush, and after putting Peter away, he took Kei Chen's shoes and then took off his coat and hung it up. This scene of clothing actually made Kei Chen feel a touch of warmth. "I'll go feed Peter some dinner, and then I'll cook," Mei said to Kei Chen embarrassedly. She even felt that little Peter was a burden. If it weren't for Peter, it would be her candlelight dinner with Kei Chen now, right? "It's okay, I'll make dinner," Kei Chen said and walked directly to the kitchen. The bachelor apartment is not big, and the American cooking skills are naturally difficult to say, and there is no stove or anything, just make a simple dinner. Mei was a little embarrassed, but Kei Chen went directly into the kitchen. This made her feel a little warm. When little Peter was full, Mei finally breathed a sigh of relief and saw Kei Chen serving an authentic American dinner. Barbecue, steak, these are the soul, and it is also the easiest for Kei Chen to accept. Looking at this sumptuous table, Mei was a little shocked. Unexpectedly, Kei Chen was not only handsome, but also cooked, which was 2+. Americans have a different concept. They are casual in the morning and noon, and only dinner is particularly serious, so Mei also seems very formal. She and Kei Chen sat down face to face and prayed very holy, hoping that God would bless. Kei Chen respected her faith, so he watched her pray seriously. Beautiful women pray beautifully. Sure enough, people are visual animals. Your technique is great, Mei said with food in her mouth. The two of them immediately ate dinner happily and got to know each other more deeply. When Mei knew that Kei Chen was not only handsome, but also young and golden, she couldn't help but feel a little inferior. In fact, she didn't know that Kei Chen was approaching her age. It's just that because of the fountain of eternal life, Kei Chen doesn't seem to have changed at all. Kei Chen's fountain of eternal life has been used a lot, but there are still many. He will not be stingy with the people around him, and hopes that they will accompany him to live forever. In Mei's opinion, Kei Chen is full of advantages, and she herself is full of shortcomings. Just when she had such thoughts, she fell into the downwind and became prey. Oops, it's already so late. It wasn't until she heard Peter's voice again that Mei woke up. Looking at the moon outside the window, she didn't seem to feel the passage of time. "We're going to see the fireworks," Kei Chen also said immediately. Both of them took care of Peter in a hurry, and then went out. Finally, before Ling D and New Year's Eve, the three arrived at Times Square. New Yorkers love New Year's Eve in Times Square, as its name suggests, the Times. This place was already a sea of people. In order not to get separated from Mei, Kei Chen directly held her waist and let her cling to him. Mei held Peter Parker in her arms, and only felt as if her heart was about to jump out. She forgot about the sea of people, as if it was only her and Kei Chen. Soon, with the ringing of a bell, the year 2002 was reached. Kei Chen and Mei hugged tightly with the crowd, because the people around them were like this, and Mei did not refuse. Otherwise, it will seem that their pair is too different. Everyone else thinks they're husband and wife, Peter is their child. Seeing Kei Chen getting closer and closer, Mei still pushed him unconsciously. The two only met today, did they develop too fast? But chatting with Kei Chen, she always had a feeling of getting along for a long time. It's a very comfortable feeling. What's wrong? Kei Chen asked in her ear, and the breath blowing out of her mouth made the roots of her ears red. "I'm carrying Peter," said Mei with some inferiority. She already had a tow oil bottle, even if it wasn't her own child, who would want to bear it? I don't mind, Kei Chen said immediately. Of course he wouldn't mind, this kid wasn't May's. Just bring a towing oil bottle, what's the point? May was moved in her heart and immediately stopped resisting. After the new year, Kei Chen sent her home, and this time May did not invite her again. Little Peter was already asleep in his arms. What happened today made little Peter very shocked. His little head and big eyes were full of puzzlement, and he fell asleep directly. Don't invite me up and sit, Kei Chen asked directly. Americans are so direct, he called it to follow the customs. May, of course, knows what will happen when she goes up now, and will communicate more deeply. But she was apprehensive in her heart. I am tired. Quote. Give me a little time. She looked at Kei Chen pleadingly. This is a rapid development, and as a Christian, she is not so open that she does not want to give herself away in a confused way. Well, good dream. Kei Chen hugged her, left a mark on his forehead, and then drove away dashingly. May breathed a sigh of relief, but didn't know why she was a little reluctant and regretful. After crossing the Chinese New Year's Eve, Kei Chen's itinerary has one more place. That's May's home. Sometimes he would pick up May from work and go back with her to take Peter. Poor Peter, he has no possibility of having Uncle Ben at all, and when he grows up, he may only have Uncle Ketchen. Kei Chen only hoped that he would not say the sentence, the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. I don't expect it to be May. That's too brain dead, it's just a line, why do you have to die? Can't the undead Peter Parker become the real Spider-Man? Obviously, he is miserable enough. Since he was a child, his parents have died, he is simply the protagonist template, and when he grows up, he will gain superpowers and then he will die an Uncle or Aunt May. In this way, being Peter's uncle is simply a high-risk profession. May naturally didn't know what he thought, but she was more emotional. Every time she saw Kei Chen, one of her hearts seemed to be on Kei Chen, and sometimes she even forgot Peter. If it weren't for Peter's crying in trouble, I'm afraid he would have hung up inexplicably. After getting acquainted, every time May looked at Kei Chen's eyes, it seemed to be starry, and that kind of adoring gaze made Kei Chen feel very refreshed, so he used the spring of eternal life for May. Now May is at her peak, she is still well maintained, not old at all, and very mature. Kei Chen naturally wanted to keep her current appearance. The cruelest thing for a woman is that her face is easy to age, and she can't keep her youth and beauty all the time. A woman like May would be very happy if she married and married. Because she adores Kei Chen and will unconditionally support what Kei Chen does, which many women cannot do. Worship is the key to maintaining marriage. The weak worship the strong. She seems to know how to hook a man's heart, which is why Kei Chen keeps running here. Fast forward to the 1st of April. This day is April Fool's Day. Kei Chen rarely did not eat at home, but talked to Lorna and Paige at noon, and went directly to the Hellfire Club. After staying in the Hellfire Club for a while, Kei Chen looked at the time and went directly to May. May was working as a volunteer at a company, and when she saw Kei Chen coming, she directly trotted over, which made many of her secret suitors feel heartbroken. May, who has been busy with work, has been won by others. But they could only watch as May got into the old antique sports car and flew away. What special day is today? May sat in the car and looked at the flowers that Kei Chen gave her and asked. Of course, we've known each other for 4 months, and besides, today is my birthday. Kei Chen said while driving, I need a gift that makes me happy. Quote. The co-pilot's May blushed when she heard this. Night. Kei Chen put his arm around May, who was already tired to sleep, and directly chose to sign in. After returning to May's home, he really got the best gift. After May put Peter to sleep, she left him for the night. It was his birthday after all. Then, the shy May was caught by Kei Chen, the hunter, like a prey. The hunter's way of dealing with their prey is simple, nothing more than cramping and peeling, and then enjoying the delicious meat feeling. May is now the most attractive moment of her life, and she seems to have a unique charm that attracts Kei Chen. May, who had not been in war for a long time, could withstand the super high combat power of Kei Chen, who had been in the battlefield for a long time, and soon admitted defeat and surrendered. Kei Chen didn't bother to go to the bath and change clothes, he believed that May could bring him good luck. Congratulations to the host for successfully surviving for 9 years, hiding his true strength, and getting the check in reward, immortal body. Immortal body. The host has a strong self-healing ability, and will not really die. Any damage will be recovered in a very short time. The only drawback may be the loss of the opportunity to meet the god of death. You can compete with Deadpool and Wolverine, who can die better. Sign in for 10 years, will get a super package. Please keep up the good work. Kei Chen held Mei's hand and suddenly screamed in pain, but she was still asleep. She was so tired. Kei Chen did not continue to torture her, but looked at his own panel. Host. Kei Chen. Items. Life-sharing necklace, mother, fountain of eternal life, Wonder Woman's mantra lasso. Abilities. Batman's combat ability, hot vision, motherland version, telepathy, teleportation ability, mirror space, immortal body. With the immortal body, Kei Chen was also relieved. His body had always been a weakness before, just like a mage, and his body was not as strong as a warrior after all. Now, the immortal body makes up for it. Although it is not a body of steel, it cannot die no matter how it is done, but it is more exciting. This means that Kei Chen can be unscrupulous. Lao Su can do whatever he wants. Kei Chen was very satisfied, and sure enough, Mei could bring him good luck. This made Kei Chen love Mei even more, and Mei could only bear it silently. Time flies. Kei Chen felt that such a life was the most beautiful in the world. During this period, he naturally tried his own ability, that is, the immortal body. It is indeed immortal, but it still hurts. So he stopped dying, and that feeling was really bad. It's not that ruthless people dare not use it casually. It's just a whole card, make sure you don't die. He doesn't want to be like Wolverine, in order to pretend to be cool and face no attack, but he hurts. Superman is understandable if he doesn't hide. What does Wolverine pretend? On this day, Lona and the two found Kei Chen. I'm a little bored with Sister Paige. Kei Chen looked at Lorna and Paige. The two of them are modern otaku templates, and they basically don't go out. In order to cover up the embarrassing identities of the two. Before Kei Chen joined the Hellfire Club, the two were black households. In the United States, driver's licenses, passports and other documents represent identity. Lorna and Paige naturally couldn't have it, and Lorna almost became a bum. Not to mention Paige, who has traveled decades to another world. Even if he has a driver's license or passport, the United States cannot recognize it. What's more, Paige is British. But after Kei Chen became the White King of the Hellfire Club, these little things could be solved in an instant. It's almost a one-sentence thing. This is power. It's just that with money, many things cannot be done, but with power it is different. That's why so many people flock to power. Where are we going? Kei Chen spoke. He always suggested going out to relax and play the world. But Lorna and Paige didn't want to, and he naturally wouldn't go alone. Kei Chen used to have a great ideal, that is, beautiful girls from all over the world should taste it and see the market. Although this idea is no longer available, it is still possible to go and see the scenery. Travel the world. This time, even Paige and Lorna were moved. No one wants to stay at home all the time, it will be stuffy. For such a major matter, it is natural to prepare well. Kei Chen also handled everything properly, telling everyone that he was going to leave for a while, and the time was not very certain. The Hellfire Club said that the White Queen and the Spirit Butterfly were both in his form, and it would be okay to leave for a while. Erica has long been accustomed to it and is busy with her career. Only Mei asked him to give him a good advice, saying that he had important business to talk about outside, and it would take a lot of time. The main thing is that I am afraid that Mei will wait anxiously. After all, the two of them are now like glue, and the brief separation is enough to make people unbearable, let alone I don't know how long it will take. Fortunately, Mei was understanding and knew that men needed their own careers, so he did not have any dissatisfaction with Kei Chen, but repeatedly told him to be careful. For such a sensible Mei, how could Kei Chen not love it? After the arrangements were made, Kei Chen also sent a text message to Chin on his mobile phone, telling Chin that he had gone to travel around the world. Karma Taj later even installed Wi-Fi. It is naturally not a big deal to equip the mage with a mobile phone, and the mage also has to keep pace with the times. It's just that maybe the network is not good. But as long as Chin came through the portal, he could see the message left by Kei Chen, and he would not be in a hurry. For this trip around the world, Kei Chen attached great importance to it, which can be regarded as the end of one of his wishes. The main thing is that there will be no better time after that. It's 2002, and in a few years, it's about to enter the era of superheroes. At that time, there were naturally constant troubles, and all kinds of dangers came to the fore. After all, the Earth is the center of the universe, and New York is a metropolis with constant disasters, and Kei Chen doesn't know if there will be this opportunity in the future. What if the purple sweet potato essence still snaps its fingers? All this is difficult to say. Therefore, after preparing for a long time, the three set off together. The Hellfire Club directly prepared a special plane for them, and they can go wherever they want, without worrying about anything. The relationship of the club can solve everything. Since they are traveling around the world, they also want to experience life well, otherwise Kei Chen can directly teleport over. Of course, they don't want to go to poor countries, they are all people who have seen suffering, so naturally there is no need to feel it well. They were going to see it in Europe and heard a lot of nice places. The time spent in the air is so long that time flies quickly. This is the second time Kei Chen has come to Europe, and the last time is back to Britain with Paige. Now that there is no such concern, it is naturally easier to relax. When they go to one place, they stay for a while until they don't want to stay here anymore, and then they go to another place to change their mood and scenery. Norway, Luxembourg and other places have left their traces. You don't have to be so careful. On the plane again, they were going to change places, Kei Chen said to Paige, who took off her sunglasses. Paige is careful when there are outsiders and always hides herself well. But even so, she is compelling. No way, it's really conspicuous. No one will know you. Kei Chen patted Paige's hand. Paige hesitated slightly, but finally nodded. Lorna is also very happy for her to let go of her heart. The three of them traveled together, and both of them were big beauties, and Kei Chen naturally felt the eyes of envy and jealousy everywhere. The life of the rich is always enviable: wine, beauty, status. Who wouldn't want that? Kei Chen is tacky, he prefers beauty, different beauty. Time flew by, and they had been touring Europe for months at once. There are a lot of blacks in France, and Paris is not romantic at all. There are many gentlemen in Britain, one is more bald than the other, and they are alive in the glory of the old days, thinking that now this fart is still the empire where the sun never sets. They spend a lot of festivals in the field, but they have a different feeling. Taking advantage of Halloween, they boarded the plane again and prepared to go to Sokovia. This is a world that only exists in the Marvel universe because it is fictional and cannot exist on other Earths. Therefore, Kei Chen is also very curious about this country. Drykov looked at the boar in front of him. These wild boars are completely under his control, docile as domestic pigs, and let them do whatever they want, and will not resist at all. He was very satisfied and said to the short-haired assistant next to him, "This is what I want. If all Black Widows could be as docile as these cute little ones, the world would be ours. Immediately put the chip on a human for experimentation." Drykov didn't want to wait at all, immersed in his own fantasies. The short-haired assistant beside him wanted to complain. Even when the Red Empire was strong, it could not own the whole world. Can the obedient Black Widow be compared to the torrent of steel? But she didn't say what was in her heart, but nodded and agreed. The organization found a group of people around the world who were doing human research, but all of them with disabilities, so they didn't get much attention. The short-haired assistant spoke to Drykov. "Oh." Drykov casually asked. "What do they study?" "The name is Desperate Virus, and it seems to be trying to treat people's disabilities, but without exception, all of them exploded and died." The short-haired assistant said indifferently, "For people like them, human life is not worth anything. Therefore, hearing this cruel experiment does not resonate. All failed." Drykov smiled disdainfully. "Our experiment is the future. Don't pay attention to this experiment of small trash fish. Neither Killian nor Maya Hansen are big characters. If Tony Stark joins, it may give Drykov a high look. But even Tony, it doesn't have much impact now. Arms is a highly profitable industry, and there are many competitors with the Stark Group. Sokovia is a small country that does not exist in other worlds. It is located in Eastern Europe, so it is very poor, and it is the poorest country in Europe. But poor places also have advantages, that is, the scenery is beautiful, and tourism will not consume too much. Therefore, except for a few Sokovians, it is basically a foreign tourist. As soon as Kei-chen and they got off the plane, they felt a breath of poverty rushing towards them. Compared to other European countries, Sokovia basically has no modern buildings and looks quaint. But they also don't care and head to the most prestigious tourist towns. They always live in big cities like New York, and they have long been tired of it. Come out to see more scenery. They found a slightly better hotel to stay in, with Kei-chen and Lorna sharing a room, and Paige having a single room. Paige is used to it, and she knows Kei-chen's intentions, and she doesn't feel that she is eating dog food. It's just that in the dead of night, it's always a little lonely. It's only been a few days since I arrived in Sokovia, and it's almost Halloween. November 1st every year is a traditional festival in the West. And October 31st, the eve of Halloween, is the most lively time of the holiday. To celebrate Halloween, children dress up as cute ghosts and knock on door-to-door doors, asking for candy or trick-or-treat. At the same time, legend has it that on this night, various ghosts will also dress up as children and blend in with the crowd to celebrate the arrival of Halloween, and humans will dress up as various ghosts in order to make the ghosts more harmonious. It was a holiday that existed more than 1,000 years ago, and it has become so influential that it is not even just Christian. The capitalists saw the benefits and had already commercialized the festival. It's like all sorts of inexplicable snap days. To put it bluntly, it's all about cutting leaks. But everyone will fit in, and that's the most critical. On this day, Kei-chen and the three also discussed together. Shall we dress up for anything? Lorna asked. Not only children will dress up, adults will also be together, and even adults will drive children to ask for candy and make trouble if they don't give it. Of course, it is generally to go to the family that has been arranged in advance for the festival, and those who are not arranged will not make trouble. I think it's good for Paige to wear her own. Kei-chen suggested. Captain America is popular all over the world, and every year someone dresses up as him, and Paige doesn't have to worry about anything on this day. Paige thought about it and agreed. Rather than letting her dress up like something else, it was better to be herself. Paige, who changed into a combat suit, was heroic, and the vibranium shield was also carried behind her. Since you want to be yourself, do it realistically. As for Lorna, soon she also succeeded in cross-dressing. When Lorna reappeared, she had changed into a green tights, a cape behind her, and high-heeled boots on her feet. Her figure was bumpy. It's like a North Star dress. It's so green. As long as Lorna doesn't discriminate against green, it's actually pretty good. And Americans don't hate green, but think green is good. It's a cultural difference. So what are you pretending to be? The two women who had already changed asked Kei-chen, ready to help him get it. There are all kinds of dressed clothes for sale everywhere on the street, and I don't know how many people make a lot of money. Kei-chen had already had a choice, and he said, I like Superman the most. Quote, the Marvel world has DC animation, Batman and Superman are also widely known and popular. Therefore, the two were not surprised to hear Kei-chen's choice. In their opinion, Kei-chen has long been similar to Superman. And Kei-chen is very tall, has a very good figure, wearing superhuman clothes. As long as he doesn't wear anything outside, it must be very mouthwatering. Sure enough, when Kei-chen changed into a classic blue-red Superman outfit, Lorna and Paige both looked straight. Paige walked over directly, stretched out her right hand and touched Kei-chen's chest muscles, and then blushed embarrassedly. Although the quality of this costume is not good, it makes them feel that Superman should be like this. If you shoot a Superman movie, let Kei-chen play Superman is almost the same. Kei-chen himself felt good. Who didn't think about the invincible image of Superman when they were young? He also finally understood why Superman wore a uniform. As long as his appearance was high enough, he was handsome in everything. Then the three of them happily played in the street. Sokovia is not big, the city is small, some places look old, but the people are welcoming. On this special festival, everyone walks out of their homes and is dressed strangely, with the feeling of a group of demons dancing. Kei-chen and the three were immediately surrounded by people and said that they wanted to take pictures with them. No way, Kei Chen's Superman is too handsome, and Paige's female version of Captain America has made countless people look dumbfounded. How can it still be like this? Only Lorna is her own original, but because of her green hair and good looks, she has also received attention. All of a sudden, the three became celebrities in Sokovia. Take pictures from time to time, and give candy to the children who come. After a while, Kei Chen was a little helpless. It's really a sin to be handsome. But at this moment, a little girl dressed as a red witch came over shyly. Big brother, can I take a picture with you? The little girl is very cute, said to be a little girl, in fact, it is not small, about 12 or 13 years old. 12 or 13-year-old white Europeans and Americans look like 15 or 16 years old. No way, they are all too anxious, so they will show old. This is also why after the age of 30, many people's appearance begins to decline rapidly, and the peak of appearance is in their 20s. The girl dressed up as a witch, with a witch hat on her head and a red cape on her body, which looked a little cute. Of course, Kei Chen did not refuse, but took the initiative to take pictures with her. Little sister, you are so cute, what's your name? Kei Chen only felt that she was a little familiar, so he asked. My name is Wanda Django Maximov, and that is my younger brother Pietro Django Maximov. Little Wanda said to Kei Chen, and Kei Chen suddenly felt a shock in his heart. It turned out to be the future Scarlet Witch. Isn't Pietro Quicksilver? Kei Chen completely ignored Quicksilver before, after all, there was no problem with his orientation. No wonder he looks familiar, although she is still young, she is already a beautiful embryo, she looks cute at the same time, and she can also become a very royal sister. I'm obviously my brother, I was born before you, Wanda. Pietro said dissatisfied, he had been surrounding Captain Carter just now, thinking that Captain Carter was cool. Captain Carter is too tall, I don't know how much taller than the current Pietro. Although even if he is an adult, it is difficult to be as tall as Captain Carter. Super Soldier Serum is no joke, making Paige feel like she has turned into a giantess, and the height of nearly 1 meter 8 is rarely matched by women. I don't care, Wanda said very mischievously, Pietro couldn't help her. Twins are easy to do, they have to be older than each other. They're so cute. Lorna came over at this time and said, it seemed that some maternal love was overflowing. Yes, it's still fate. Kei Chen looked at Lorna and Wanda. In the comics, Lorna is Magneto's daughter, and Wanda is tricked by Lao Wan, thinking that she is also Magneto's daughter. It's just that two people are now inexplicably connected. The will of the world is indeed extremely powerful. Wanda, Pietro, here's your candy. Kei Chen took out the candy and gave it to the teenager and the girl. Wanda and Pietro immediately thanked him, and Wanda also said, Big brother, you are so handsome, how did you train your figure? Quote. This is a talent, said Kei Chen without blushing. He does exercise regularly, but it is the waist, not anywhere else. Perhaps Batman's ability brought him this good figure. Now it seems that this ability is the most powerful, after all, even Thor will be out of shape. That's the Asgardian physique. Kei Chen has been bohemian for so long, and his figure is still so good, and now it seems that it is brought about by Batman's ability. Wanda also got up enough to touch Kei Chen. Superman's clothes were two figures showing. Neither Lorna nor Paige expected that Wanda looked young and was so astringent. It's getting late, we're going back to Wanda. That's when Pietro said. Sokovia is poor, and anything can happen in a poor place. Even locals do not dare to wander outside at night. See you next time, big brother. Wanda said to Kei Chen with big eyes, and then said goodbye to Paige and Lorna as well. Kei Chen also pinched Wanda's little face and gave her all the remaining candies. Wanda's smiling eyes narrowed, very happy. In Sokovia, they don't eat sugar several times a year. In Wanda's heart, Kei Chen is simply a good person. She wanted to see this big brother every day, if there was sugar to eat every day. Kei Chen watched them leave, and a smile appeared on his face. Lorna suddenly pouted and said, Hey, be careful of being arrested as a pervert. You wouldn't even eat a child's vinegar, would you? Kei Chen was suddenly a little speechless. Although he admits that future Scarlet Witch is indeed pretty, this point he has the same vision as Peter. Even after Natasha grew open, she was not as vigorous as Scarlet Witch. But now, Wanda is only in his teens, and he really can't do it. Then who knows what special proclivities you rich people have. Lorna spoke. She directly offended a group, and Kei-chan couldn't refute it. Who tells white women to age fast? After all, men are very single-minded until death, and only like 18-year-old girls. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.